It's Thursday night, it's the evening, and it's time for a very special Lawyers React Live because I have two very special guests today. I have missed you this week, Law Nerds. A lot has happened in the news. We will talk about some of that, but we're definitely going to do a catch up with the cases that I'm covering, but not just me, because we also have Natalie, lawyer chick, and boss attorney Bree in the house. It's Bree's first time on the channel, so I know you guys are going to give her a huge Law Nerd welcome. It's been way too long since Natalie and I have gotten to stream over here on my channel. I know you guys are going to go and subscribe to them and say hello, but I cannot wait to talk not just about the cases that they're covering that I don't know about, but the cases that we're covering that some of them might not know about. We're going to chit chat all the lawyer chats, and lawyer chats are so much fun. So I miss you. I'm sorry. It's been a week. I am drinking water with lemon because that's what my stomach is accepting at the moment, and we're just going to keep rolling. I don't know what is going on, but if you see me glistening, it's totally not because I'm sweating. It's just because I have an internal glow. So let me know where you're coming in from, what you're drinking. I am so excited. We're just going to roll the intro and get going because we have so much to talk about tonight, and I just can't wait to chat. I can't wait to chat. Law Nerds, I've missed you. It's good to see you. I saw some of you earlier today on a Zoom call that was also streamed onto YouTube. Some of you got to participate in that CLE, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I'm going to let the ladies know what happened. There was a little bit of shade from Ben Chu and Camille. It was very classy, as they do, but it was lovely. So with that, I'm going to roll the intro, and we're going to talk. I can't wait to see your questions. We're going to do a chit chat, and then we'll definitely have a Q&A because I can't wait to see what you have to say too. All right, let's roll. Let's just do it. Let's just do the things. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. Y'all, welcome my guests into the stream. Say hello. I'm going to go through and have everyone introduce themselves. Boss attorney Bree, since you haven't been on the channel yet, I'm going to have you introduce yourself first, who you are, what you stream about on YouTube, and what you do in your legal life.
Okay, I'm nervous. I didn't know I was going first, but
oh, you're going first. You're so welcome. Don't be nervous. The law nerds are lovely. They're so chill. And on this channel, I say WAP all the time. WAP on my channel stands for We Are Professionals. It's because half the time something has gone wrong and it's not professional at all. So I'm just like, it just is. It just is. It's not wet ass anything. It's We Are Professionals. It's become my rallying cry. So no nerves needed.
Okay. Well, I am boss attorney Bree here on YouTube. On my channel, we cover trademark lawsuits, copyright lawsuits, and some celebrity lawsuits. And a lot of times those cross over. So it's really fun over there. In my lawyer life, in real life, I am a baby lawyer is what I like to call myself. I've been licensed for 3 years, and I do trademark law, a business law, and I also do some family law that has been taking over my life lately because family law is very demanding as compared to like the business things and all of that. So I'm super happy to be here. Emily and Natalie were like the first lawyer streamers that I found that made me want to stream. So I'm super happy to be here on the channel with you guys.
I'm so excited. And I love that. I mean, I always loved the energy of new attorneys, especially at the DA's office when we got new classes of attorneys. And because not only do they bring a lot of energy, but look at things in sometimes a new way or a different way or more up to date. Because there's times when you're in the grind that you're like, what case I have, what I don't have time. I'm just doing the work. So I love that. The first 5 years of practice are so wild, and I don't know how you have the time and energy to stream also. And I love that you're doing that. It's incredible. So
I love it. I'm literally following in your and Natalie's footsteps, but it is hard. And I run my own law firm too. So it's hard to stay
girl.
consistent, but I'm happy I'm starting now rather than later.
And it's a nice way to get to chat about stuff outside of work if this becomes the hobby. So you
Mhm.
can talk about the law stuff, but like not always talk about the law stuff.
Yes, yes.
I love that. I don't know how I couldn't have run anything at 3 years in. I was barely running myself at 3 years in.
Yeah.
That's I'm being totally honest. Natalie, go ahead and introduce yourself, your channel, and what you stream about, and what you do in your law life.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, Emily, for
Oh, it's so
having me
good to
back
have
on
you.
your channel. It's just such an honor. Thank you. Okay,
Oh,
so
same.
my channel is called Natalie Lawyer Chick. My name is Natalie. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I do criminal defense litigation, which means I'm a trial attorney handling serious felony cases. That's usually what I do. So think like, your murders, your robberies, things like that. That's usually what my caseload is.
As
And
one does.
I was just saying, is quite a caseload right now. It's really busy
Yeah.
right now. I
As one
stream,
does.
I stream and upload over at my channel, Natalie Lawyer Chick, where I react to a variety of things, criminal and civil cases, celebrity cases. I haven't done a sovereign citizen video in a while, but I will be doing one because those to me are like bread and butter videos because I like the ridiculousness of the law.
Yep.
Like just, like how the law can become so absolutely ridiculous. So we do the serious stuff, we do the funny stuff, and we try to balance it between education, comedy, raising awareness. So I cover any and everything, no holds bar. I'll cover anything. And yeah, that's what my channel is. I stream once a week, usually Wednesdays at 7, sometimes more. And I also make sure I upload a couple of videos a week. So check me out if you're interested.
Which is so much. And everybody's channels are linked in the description below, Law Nerds, so you can go and show them the love, show them the support, and support their channels. I know, Bree, you are rounding to 10K. Yes, that is where we're pushing towards.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we're pushing to
I am
10K,
on
which
the
is
way.
great. Natalie, what is your next channel goal?
I'm hoping to get to 110 because I'm at 105.
Yes,
So
that's a
I'm
good
hoping to
goal.
get to 110. Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get it. And I mean, I don't know how you do both. Trial work is so, so demanding. And I found your channel as you were reacting, like the first videos I saw from you were reacting to what was going on in Zoom court. And I was like, this is so great because a lot of times the lawyers that I see reacting on the channel, not within the group that we interact with, but there's a lot of lawyers who aren't in court lawyers. And I think everybody got to see a bit of that during the Depp v. Heard case, is that not all lawyers are in court all the time. And so lawyers that are in court every single day sometimes have a different take on court, a different comfort in court, and a different ability to think on their street or their feet. And we saw that in Depp v. Heard, where I think that some of Heard's attorneys were much more comfortable in civil litigation, meaning emails, discovery, e-discovery, depositions, but not necessarily trial because those cases are so expensive. So I loved those. How did you decide to start doing the Zoom, like lawyer reacts to lawyers in court?
Yeah. So, what happened is there's Judge Middleton over in Michigan, and Michigan was live streaming court. And I always bring things back to my husband because he gives me a lot of inspiration for things I cover on the channel. He's also an attorney. He does not do YouTube. But he started watching, in our downtime, Michigan court live stream. And there was this Judge Anderson, and there's also Judge Middleton, who is amazing. And he had this case where a young lady had called the police on her boyfriend for DV, and he turned out to be in the house when there was a stay away order while the hearing was going on for probable cause for the assault charges. And it I reacted to that, and then I was like, where's more Zoom court? And then that's kind of like how it started to happen. Michigan has a lot of it. There's other states Florida has a lot of Zoom court. And so I got to see other states and how they do things, how it's different, how it's the same, explain that to people. And we all kind of got this bird's eye view of what our justice system looks like. So yeah, that's how I started.
I think it's such a helpful thing too, because what I've learned since following Depp v. Heard is the kind of lack of access and lack of understanding about how our court system actually works in a day-to-day capacity, what the whole process is of our court. And then I didn't realize before Depp v. Heard how bad some of the court reporting is from journalists that are on they're covering court, but they don't necessarily understand court. Most recently, a ton of headlines about, Depp stands paid to unseal documents. I'm like, how many wrong things can you say in one headline? But keep going, because there's just a fundamental lack of understanding that no one's paying to unseal documents to start with, and then just.
It's actually kind of terrifying, but this is getting seen on a larger scale, but it's something that I always knew. And so I thought that there was a service. Obviously, it's something that I enjoy doing. It's a hobby for me, but there was a service in explaining things in court even before Depp v. Heard, because it's something I experienced in my own cases. I have not ever had a criminal case that made the news where it was reported on accurately.
That's fair.
Never, ever. There's always been, I mean, you know this in California, right? Like there's always.
I tried so hard to avoid.
Yeah, of course.
I tried so hard to avoid any media coverage on my cases. It just makes it messy.
It just, I don't talk to the media about my cases ever, but obviously it's going to end up in the newspaper, given the level of profile of your case. And when that happens, I can say, for example, I had a client that was convicted of a degree of murder, right? And the newspaper reported that my client had received 80-year sentence. We hadn't been to sentencing.
Oh, dear.
They just looked up the maximum penalty of all the charges, even ones they had not been convicted of, stacked them together, and just said, man convicted of crime receives 180-year sentence. What are you talking about?
Like,
now I'm not going to talk
happened.
to you to help you, but like you can't. It's because obviously as an attorney, I've done some forays into reporting on things, but I am not a journalist, right? And so as journalists, and this is not hating on them at all, they don't really understand the court system because the court system is complex. And so instead of a lot of times asking an attorney to explain it to them, they'll just say whatever, and it's reported inaccurately.
Yeah, and it's wild to watch it. I didn't pay nearly as much attention when I was a DA, and now I feel like maybe I should have. But I head down work, having kids, husband's work, head down and go. And when somebody would call me, I would be like, our media relations number is this, or I would send this is media relations. And if media relations reached out, I'm like, what? Oh, and then I would try to give a synopsis to media relations, but that's because I was at a very large prosecutorial agency that had a media relations,
right?
So they could at least be that liaison in between and give some information,
right?
But I just tried to stay away from it. So it's been very interesting diving into it now, going even with the Josh Duggar case, looking at Josh Duggar and everybody being like, his maximum's going to be this. I'm like, no, because this is a lesser included crime. And let's talk about what a lesser included crime is, meaning you can be charged and convicted of two things, but you can't be sentenced because they include all of the things of the other thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really informed me about, how things get reported and how people understand the law. And I think all of us try to help people kind of demystify what the law is.
Yeah. And I think the other thing when it comes to the juxtaposition between the law and the media is that unfortunately when a criminal or civil case is reported before the conclusion of the case, even when people say things flippantly like allegedly, they don't really mean it. It's more like allegedly so I don't get sued.
Right.
A lot of times and we need to I do it sometimes in my personal life, they approach it from a mindset of, well, if someone said that you did it and it's in court, you must have done that, whether criminal or civil. And so it's really important to remember the burden of proof and the presumption of innocence. And that is something that is just kind of not embraced. And so when they're overcoming their initial expectation that the person was going to be convicted, the person was going to be found liable, or the bad guy was going to be the bad guy, they're dealing with that cognitive dissonance where they're like, well, the only way this could have happened is if it's massive courtroom corruption. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that this is the evidence that was presented and you didn't understand the evidence you were receiving, or you discounted it because it didn't go along with the initial thing that you believe. That's not necessarily malice. Sometimes it's just human nature, and it's just important to, like, count for that.
And it's hard,
Yeah.
especially with civil, because I think people forget civil allegations get wild. Like they get buck wild in the civil complaints in a way that you cannot and do not do in criminal. In criminal, it's even in indictments, it's very much like the law is this, and then if it's a conspiracy or something, you'll see some of the information, but not all of it. But civil complaints are protected from defamation. So you get a lot of stuff thrown in there. And Bree, that's like especially in the trademark world and in the business world, you're going to see a lot of that business mudslinging in complaints like that. And the media sometimes is like, oh, this. And I'm like, this is kind of to be expected.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, when looking at the news and the lawsuits in the news, it's like, oh, I don't understand how us lawyers are online saying, oh, it could go this way, but it could go this way. But it's because there are so many ways it can go, and we don't know until we see all of the evidence. And just because I'm just using this because I covered this case, Dirty Doe said whatever they had to say about
I love that case. Have you covered this at all, Natalie?
No.
Oh
Tell
my God.
me,
This
what
is perfectly in Bree's wheelhouse. Bree, do you want to give a quick rundown to Natalie about the great Utah cookie debate?
Yeah.
What is happening? The great Utah cookie debate.
It's Utah Cookie Wars. It's the greatest. It's so great. I'm loving everything about this litigation.
I am so excited. Please.
Oh, yeah. So it's basically a trademark lawsuit. One of them is for a trade dress and kind of like similarly designing their gourmet cookies. It's a gourmet cookie trademark lawsuit, basically. So Crave is suing Dirty Doe, and they're also suing another company, but it's not coming to my head right now.
Crumble is suing Crave and Dirty Doe. Yep.
Okay, mixed it up.
Because
Okay,
Natalie, they put their cookies in boxes that are rectangular.
Yeah, square boxes.
So
square and rectangular boxes.
They put them in boxes.
Okay. And now there are cookie companies that have a trademark for their boxes, but it's like a star for cookies, not a rectangle or a box or a square or whatever you want to call it. But
that's like, isn't there something about something being like ubiquitous and like common and like, I don't, I'm no expert on trademark law, but yeah.
So the trade dress one, they're suing them based off of like the design of the characters and the pictures that they put on the box, and then also the bright colors. And then they brought in the fact that they have similar styled cookies. I don't know how they think they're going to get away with that one. And then the other one is more trademark infringement as far as the actual logo and the name and all of those things. So cookie companies are in court right now.
They've gone wild.
I mean,
here's what I love.
I could see being a lawyer and being like, okay, the trademark looks kind of similar. God, that recipe is real similar. Let's throw in the box too. Like let's just throw in the box.
I think the saltiness, the saltiness came from one of the founders or a relative of the founders of Dirty Doe had worked at corporate Crumble. I think they're trying to get to. They didn't allege trade secrets, but I really think they're trying to get to discovery to see. They're like, oh, they're doing it the same as us. I'm like, have you ordered a pizza? Guess what? It's a round pie that comes in a square box.
Yeah, there's like 3 pizzerias in New York that all have the same name, that all say that they're the best pizza in New York. And they're all owned by 3 different people. I can't remember if it's Mama's or Margaritas or something like that. But it's like, oh, they're all claiming to be the famous something pizza. And it's like that, if they ever sued each other, that's going absolutely nowhere. It's like, please, give me a break.
I love a food lawsuit so much. Dirty Doe, because I covered Colin and Cuthbert, the Caterpillar cakes out of the UK. I have one in my background. I loved this lawsuit the most because Aldi is like, all hail Aldi, the cheater brand. They will rip off your brand. They do not care. They do lean into trade dress. They absolutely ripped off the box exactly. They do
like
not give a
Aldi,
fuck.
the grocery store?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean they rip off Trader Joe's.
They lift everything. They don't care at all.
Yeah.
So we get into these caterpillar cakes, and Aldi goes on a social media campaign that they're, they change the box to say instead of serves like 3 to 6, it says serves like 6 to 12 years, and they put little bars on it, and they did all of this stuff about how they were being, sued. And Dirty Dough's done the same thing. They took out a whole bunch of billboards and said, like, our cookies don't crumble. And like they've gone directly after the
our feelings.
Yes.
Are some messy bitches.
Yes.
Oh, my
They
goodness.
taken out billboards all over Utah about crumble, like taking shots at crumble. And so I had never heard of Dirty Dough cookies before this at all. Like, I know they're in Arizona and there's maybe one in Utah. And now I'm just like, if I'm ever in Arizona again, which I will be in September, I'm ordering Dirty Dough cookies just for the giggle of it all. Like,
I
marketing
want to
ever.
order them now.
I love it. I want to like taste test all the cookies. So
Right.
Bree, is there like anything else about this lawsuit that's super notable or anything? Because people are saying we cut you off.
We did. I'm
No.
sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I was just saying that it's a trade dress, and there are kind of similar drawings on the crumble and the dirty. I'm not crumble. Yeah, crumble and Dirty Dough. But as far as the gourmet cookie, there's only so many gourmet cookies you can have, and so I think that's why they're also suing for like unfair business practices, because they switch out the weekly cookies. They do have similar style cookies, I do admit, but I was also going to do a live stream where I made a similar cookie, but just for fun on the YouTubes. But I haven't read the Crave lawsuit yet, but I did do the crumble and the Dirty Dough just because the owner is just on LinkedIn acting up. So it's pretty funny the way they're using social media, and the fact that they're using LinkedIn. Like, I thought it would be something more on Twitter. So
how much of this lawsuit is for advertising purposes? Like, how much of it is like, we're going to get our name out there, we're going to sue our biggest competitors?
Well, Crumble sued them.
Yeah, Crumble is the bigger one. Crumble
sued Dirty Dough, and Dirty Dough's like, we're going to make lemonade, bitches.
That's dumb. And I've never heard of Dirty Dough before. That's dumb. And now I don't know when I'm going to ever be around Utah, but I'm going to try to.
You're like, if I'm ever in Utah, I'm doing a taste test of all three. But this is the thing that I don't think Crumble thought of is how are these other cookies going to respond? Crumble has like 300 plus locations. Dirty Dough has like 4. I mean, and then you're like, are you the bigger company? Are you really protecting your trademark, or are you just beating up on another company because they have a similar shaped box and they use a doodle style?
Yeah.
What did you think, Bree, when you looked at the trade dress of it?
When I looked at the trade dress, off of just like immediately, it was more like, oh, it's not really that similar. But as I started reading it, and the fact that they were involved in the company, I think the older or one of the brothers actually got a job, and then the other brother went there to get a job, but then was rejected as a franchise and then started a similar type of company. I think that the colors are really different. I don't think that pink is that unique as far as Crumble goes, but the drawings and the fact that they use similar drawings, I think that pushes them a little bit closer. But at the same time, what can you use as far as selling a cookie? You're going to put a cookie on the box. You're going to put a milk crate, a car to come pick up the cookies. You're going to have similar things on there. So to me, I think they're pushing it. But even if they do win, you've already given Dirty Dough this notoriety from being involved in this lawsuit with this giant cookie company. And then they can change their box. They don't have to put the drawings on there, change their box. And now they're known. And I went on their website, and they actually have their franchising section on their website a lot bigger than what Crumble has, because they're getting so much publicity from it. So even if Dirty Dough does lose, they have probably increased the amount of cookies that they're selling and the amount of people that know them for their cookies.
They're getting local news coverage. They're getting coverage on social media because they leaned into the PR snark. I don't know if they took a page out of Aldi's book with the Aldi. Aldi was wrong with the Aldi caterpillar cake shit, but they were the funniest litigant in the entire thing. And the UK's courts are all locked down, so you can't see what happened. The thing's settled. But I came out with like, while Aldi's social media team kind of won this lawsuit for me, even though Aldi
Right.
completely ripped off the box, it is a complete violation of the trademark. They're going to change the box. It doesn't matter. The advertising has
Right.
entertained all of us. And that, I think, is what lasts longer for people. I don't know if most consumers in chat, you can let me know. I don't know if most consumers are like, oh, well, they ripped off their box. Like, fuck them. I'm never buying a Caterpillar cake
Yeah.
again.
People are gonna
Yeah.
forget.
People don't
They're gonna
care.
They
forget.
don't care.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yep.
Unless it's like, oh, there's like some cultural significance to the original copyright holder, and it's like their grandmother's
Yeah.
recipe, and then you just ripped it off. Then I feel people would be like emotionally invested in it. But some large corporation getting copied, nobody cares. Nobody.
And
Yeah.
Crumble uses the same bakery pink box that literally every other bakery uses. It is bakery pink. That is it's that Pepto-y pink. It's just too funny. So I loved the cookies. I enjoyed it. And I know, Brie, if you're doing a lot of trademark stuff, to be like, I get to explain trade dress to people because it's something that doesn't come up a ton. I know we all talked about it real quick, but if you want to tell the chat what trade dress is a little bit, I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah. So trade dress is a little bit different than trademark. When you're talking about service marks or trademarks, you're more talking about the name or the logo. But you can also get things for kind of the design of what you're making, and that would be considered trade dress. So some companies like Nike has trade dress for their shoes and the way that is shaped. Same thing that this company is asserting here. They actually have a registered, Crumble actually has a registered trade dress registration for their box that perfectly fits their cookies. So you can actually trademark things like that are not necessarily the name, but you gain brand recognition off of kind of the things that you put it in or the things that you market it around, the box, the colors, things like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be words. And I actually brought my sister onto my channel when I covered this case because she worked at Crumble for a couple of weeks.
I love that.
Yeah, because they were so strict that she didn't like it. And so
they were
actually
strict
had like
at the cookie place. They were strict.
Yes, because their part of their trade dress was their box and that it perfectly fit those amount of cookies in it. So like the 4 cookie box, it perfectly fits 4 cookies in it with no space around the cookie. And so they would have to like weigh out the cookie
to make sure
for them to make it different. Yep. To make sure they bake the right size. And before they gave them the cookie, they have to ask, like, is this cookie okay for you? Like after they decorate it. And if they say no, they have to make the cookie again. So the perfection is part of who they are.
Because they grew on social media. Like they grew on TikTok. They grew on people doing the cookie tasting and showing the cookies in the box. Look, I don't give my opinion on a lot of cases I cover, but I'm just going to start havoc and choose violence on the internet. Crumble's cookies are not that good. They're just not that good.
Really?
They're just not that good.
This is true.
They look too soft for me. True. I've never tried them. They just look too soft. And I like soft cookies, but they look like cake instead of cookies. And I want a separation.
They're just
no?
I mean, every flavor I've tried, either there's too much dough that's not flavorful enough and not enough frosting, but they're so big that
whoever owns
they're very high in calories.
Yeah.
Well, very high in calories. I think
that's probably why I've never had them. I have to watch what I eat, and like there's just no way
they're not worth the calories. I'll eat it if it's worth it.
I'm a sweet girl, but if I'm gonna like splurge, I want like some good pasta and a glass of wine. Like I do not want a soggy cookie. And I don't know that the cookies are soggy. They just look too big to get. Like I need to have a crisp on the outside, gooiness on the inside, some little chips or something. You know what I'm saying? That's a cookie to me. But I was just saying that whoever owns this place must be a Virgo. As a fellow Virgo myself, that is a level of meticulousness that just lends itself to a slight mental illness. And I could really relate. Like when you were saying like, oh, they have to weigh it and it has to fit in the box perfectly. And I was like, that's very satisfying to me. Like they are
beautifully packaged. And it's very satisfying to watch people show them on the internet. They're gorgeous cookies.
Yes.
But they are maybe prettier than they taste.
Yeah. as many things are that are viral. That's
But
unfortunate.
they make a lot of sense. You can order them on the app. You can have them delivered with milk. You can, try the different flavors. They come warm. Like there's a whole like vibe to them. I see every time we've picked up Crumble, there's been a flock of teenagers there because it's such a social media thing. So now because they've become a thing, they're a thing, and their content, the chat's talking about Peter Mon, who's a commentary channel that I love, and a friend who does a review every week of the different flavors at Crumble each week. And I'm
Really?
like, it's its whole little own universe of stuff.
Did not know that, but I will say this. I guess I'm a trash girl because I think my favorite cookie comes from Mrs. Fields. Okay.
It's fair. Mrs. Fields
I
is gonna be pissed with all of this. Mrs. Fields needs to sue everybody and be like, I started this.
Was it not her in the mall?
Yes.
With the giant
Yes, with the giant
the
cookies.
little chocolate chip cookies that I think when I think of a cookie, it's got to be Mrs. Fields chocolate chip. It's a little crispy on the outside, but then it's like soft and gooey on the inside.
Yep.
Perfect. So good. Make your cookies like that, and nobody needs.
Yeah.
You don't need to OCD measure each little. See how
They are
much
the
it weighs.
smells of my childhood.
Mrs. Fields.
Yes.
Yes.
I love Mrs. Fields. They used to have like a 3 cookie and get 1 free in the mall that I lived in. Yeah, they're the best. They're the best.
Good.
No, there was a Mrs. Fields at the mall where I worked. Loved. Hated working at the mall, but loved the food court.
I also worked at the mall. What store were you?
I worked at Express.
Me too.
No way!
Yeah.
I am a very good sales girl. Yeah, I'm serious.
Me too. I'm great at it.
The
I'm
amount of
great.
Ponte pants that I owned.
Yeah.
So many.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many.
You're gonna buy our shit if I'm selling it to you. Absolutely. I loved working at Express. Oh my God. I used to get like all my because I worked at Express from law school until my first 3 years as an attorney. I would see my clients in there and stuff like that. And they were like, hey, Miss Natalie, what are you doing in here? I'm like, are you interested in these jeans?
You're like, law school dad's expensive. You have no idea. I chose to go work for the government.
Yes.
I have health insurance, but I don't get paid well.
Exactly.
I loved working at Express, and I worked at Express till it closed, and then I went and worked at a sporting goods store, which I actually liked better because it was so much more diverse. Just in all the different stuff that there was. And then I got to work the cash register and answer the phones, which for my ADHD brain, I could multitask at work, and that made the days go by super fast. And we got a lot of celebrities in there because we were close. We were right in Marina Del Rey, so we were close to a lot of where athletes and stuff lived. But then we got all the buyers from the movies coming in, and that was fascinating to me to see what they were buying for different productions and commercials and stuff like that. I loved that.
Oh, I wish I had that experience. No, I worked at Express on the Eastern Shore, and it was like the only good clothing store to shop at. So like all my friends shopped in there, and like our supervisor was like insane. It was like, we must have perfect clothes. Like when you're closing up and you have to like put everything back in order. And he was like so meticulous about it.
I loved that.
Me too. And I need like 2 finger spacing between each hanger and stuff like that.
I loved the folding board. I loved everything.
Yes, all of that. If you like meticulousness, working retail, it could really satisfy that,
My store manager at Express helped me pick out the outfit I wore the night I met my husband. Like that's how long he and I have known each other. But there will still be songs that come on because this was back in the day before streaming. We had a CD, and that CD was like 90 minutes long, which is a lot of plays per shift and a lot of plays months out. There's still songs that come on, and I'm just like, that was on our Express mix.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this so much. Boss Attorney Bree, did you have a favorite non-law job? I mean, I worked a lot of weird jobs. I've worked since I was like 15. So I've worked a ton of crazy jobs, but
I've had weird jobs, but never any that I really loved. I've worked at Six Flags. I've also worked at the Jelly Belly factory, and one was just
Jelly Bellies are heavily represented on this channel.
Are they really?
Look, here's what I learned about the law nerds, and I love the law nerds, but there's a good portion of them that are crazy and think that the buttered popcorn Jelly Belly is literally the greatest. And I can't get behind it because my favorite is pear. So do you have a favorite Jelly Belly?
I do not even like Jelly Bellies. I do not like
Oh,
jelly
me
beans.
either. Oh, thank God. Oh, I felt so bad sitting over
And
here. I
it
cannot
was
stand
so
jelly
hard
beans.
working there. But they have other candy. So
I did not
think
want
it's
to
a good
offend your
combo.
job. And I was like, God, I hate jelly beans.
They were like a good paying, lower wage job. They paid a little bit
Mhm.
more than the other, minimum wage jobs. And the popcorn jelly bean, when they make those, disgusting. It smells disgusting when they make
Oh my
those.
God. I can
So
only imagine.
yeah.
And
And
it's
so I was a
sweet.
tour guide.
That's amazing.
No, it
Oh,
tastes
that's
like
so
popcorn.
cute.
Yeah. So I was
Natalie,
a tour guide.
No, girl.
Mm-mm.
Don't do
Popcorn
it.
jelly bean
I
is
love it.
not good.
I'm
Yeah.
like
And
curious.
so,
I know that I already hate jelly beans. It doesn't matter what flavor they come in, but
Mhm.
like popcorn just sounds like,
A joke?
why would I want
Yeah.
that texture in that flavor? Why would I want that? And I love all the popcorns in the chat. They're like, screw y'all.
No, there are ride or dies for the
Yeah.
buttered popcorn Jelly Belly. It has a very big fan following.
Oh,
I cannot. I
wow.
feel like it needs to be in the Bean Boozled game, which will put you off of jelly beans forever.
Yeah, I've never.
I
done
think
that.
it is in the Bean Boozled
It
game,
is.
is it not?
But
Okay.
it's not in the like bad flavors.
Oh,
Like,
it's supposed
Yeah,
to
it's
be
a good flavor. Yeah,
If
it's
I
supposed
can
to
get
be a
some
good
candy
flavor.
and it tastes like popcorn, I'm gonna fight. Okay, 'cause that is not what I want in a candy. And I love
There's-
popcorn, but I don't want candy that tastes like popcorn.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here like disgusted and blown away.
he's so offended. So offended.
you at some point for your members, Natalie, you might have to do a jelly bean tasting.
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
definitely should.
That's member
But I
content.
wanted to do the one chip challenge one time for the channel, because I love hot sauce. So because I'm thinking it's not really that bad. So I definitely want to try it one time. So we'll
There
see.
you go. So
Yeah.
Brie, you were a tour guide at the Jelly Belly factory.
Mhm.
Yes, I was a tour guide at the Jelly Belly factory. Definitely not good to go when they're making popcorn or when they're making any of those Harry Potter Bean Boozled ones. I've had to end tours early because the smell was so bad and it gets into your clothing
Oh,
and
gosh.
like people have gotten sick on the tours, and these tours they're not on the factory, so they're not getting sick by the jelly
Right,
beans,
but-
but it's like a walkway above the factory, so you're looking down on all the workers as they make jelly beans for you. So
Oh my god.
So
Yeah.
you're there the day they're making vomit flavored jelly beans for Bean Boozled. You're
Yes.
like, you're just smelling it all.
yes, yeah. And
Oh.
I've had to end tours early because of that. They try to do the bad flavors at night, but sometimes they can't help it, and they start
Yeah.
during the last tour, the last couple of tours, and
This is so good to me.
horrible.
It's ridiculous.
I never even would have thought
No.
that would be, but I could see like smells get me, man. So I worked as an EMT briefly. Smells get me. EMT is not
Yeah.
the job for you. If smells are a problem.
Yes,
'Cause-
I have a really strong sense of smell, so there's just no way.
Yeah.
There's
but
no
I
way.
also hated going to the coroner's office. That's a smell you can't get rid of either. So
Yeah, thankfully, by the time we get any of the evidence from
You
the
don't have
body,
to-
they're photographs, right? They're photographs. And those are pretty visceral and bad in and of themselves.
Yeah.
But
there's no smell with
smells.
them.
No smells. Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
That's not something I considered when I took my job as a DA. Like I didn't think that there would be times where I'd need to be at the coroner's office and need to understand exactly how autopsies work or see one of my own cases during that phase.
Yeah, that's too tough.
Yep. Though the coroner's office in LA used to have a gift shop, which was also entertaining. Oh, I'm getting feedback. Bria, did you change something?
No, I didn't change
Oh,
anything.
I'm hearing it.
I don't hear it. Oh, but you
Okay.
have headphones on.
I
it
do
me?
have headphones on. I can hear it a little bit. Chad, if you can't hear it, it might just be me. Yeah, because I can't hear it now. I don't know if Bria
It
turned
might
me
be
up.
me. Let me see if because I muted myself. It might be me.
Okay. Sorry.
So let me see if I can get my audio. It's okay.
But yeah, there used to be a gift shop at the LA County coroner's office.
That is fascinating. That is
Yep. They had
fascinating.
hats. They had like towels that had outlines and crime tape
Oh, like crime scene outlines of a body. Oh my goodness. Okay.
on beach towels. It was a whole thing.
No.
I don't know why they stopped doing it, but the money went to one of the crime survivor charities. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
As like I like kind of like dark humor and morbid things and gallows humor, so I feel like I would like that.
Yep.
But I
It
could
was
see
cheeky.
somebody complaining. Yeah, it's cheeky. I like things like that.
It was cheeky. And the outline was very much a cartoony kind
yeah,
of
not like this was a real person and we just took it and
right.
Out.
Yeah, it was very much a cheeky thing. But yeah, I don't know when they got rid of it, but they did.
Someone said Natalie is super loud to me. Give me 1 second.
It's okay. Now? I know Miguelina can take a listen because she's listening too and can kind of adjust the mic volumes on.
Okay, then I'll let you guys do it then. Okay,
she's got it for sure. As we've talked, because Miguelina is the greatest. Thanks, Miguelina. As we chat, because I don't have people on the channel a ton. One, because I talk so much and I get distracted, but also two, because then I'll stream for 5 hours because I talk so much I get distracted. Which is one of the reasons I didn't stream with a ton of people during Depp v. Heard, because I couldn't manage both. Like I couldn't listen, like chat with people and listen to evidence and give commentary. Like I couldn't do all three in my brain because I had tried that a little bit during the Rittenhouse case and it was tough. Natalie, you came into that coverage right off of a trial.
Yeah, so I came, it's a couple things. I didn't stream anything, I don't think. I think what I did was react. So I didn't live stream a single thing. It was impossible for me because it was happening while I had court. And during the first week of the trial, I was coming off of my own murder trial that had been going on for the previous week and a half before it. So I think they started a little before me and I finished before them. And then I got to pick up the coverage then and catch up over the weekends and things. But no, I had my own stuff going on when Depp v. Heard first started. And I was like, why does everybody keep emailing me about Johnny Depp? Who cares about Johnny Depp? Oh, was I wrong?
The whole internet.
So you weren't originally planning on covering it?
No, I had no plans. I think people think I'm being like glib or something when I would say I really don't know that much about Johnny Depp. I for real knew almost nothing about Johnny Depp. I only saw the first few minutes of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I realized belatedly that he was Edward Scissorhands. Really, that's how bad I am.
That's not bad. Like, that's fair.
How uninvested I was in this. In Amber Heard, never heard of her. Never, ever.
Never heard.
Like this was going on. I had no idea who she was, child. So then I started catching up on the trial and I'm like, well, this is wild. And so it always tickles me when people see my analysis of the case and they're like, you're a huge Johnny Depp fan. And I'm like, okay, well, that's news to me because I didn't know that.
You're like, he was Edward Scissorfingers? I don't know. I don't remember. Like, it's just, this isn't in my wheelhouse. Brie, had you planned on covering it?
No, I did not plan on covering. I had recently just started consistently live streaming around that time. So I had no idea how to
Here we are.
Yeah, and I was also starting to take on like more family law clients, so I honestly wasn't on too many channels very often.
I bet with doing family law, it was very interesting to watch Depp v. Heard because it really is a family law case wrapped in defamation, and that is I worked on the family law floor when I was a research attorney. It was the only floor in our courthouse that had bailiffs because it was the floor that got the most buck wild because emotions are high. Criminal court emotions are high, but emotions are so high in family court. It is so personal. And it's just, it's a very, very ingrained area of law and it can be exhausting. So I'm sure that you were watching this play out being like, oh boy.
Give me a murder case over a family case any day. I had one family case. It took me years to get rid of it. Never again in life. Never ever. Sorry,
And
Bree.
they do not, yeah, they do not want you to get rid of them because family law clients, like you said, they're super emotional. And sometimes that causes them not to complete the orders that they need. And then all of a sudden they're blaming you because they have all of these orders against them. And I'm like, well, you're the one that started talking over me, to get your point across. And now you have more orders. So, definitely with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, it was basically what I see every day. You're the worst person, I'm blaming you. You're the worst person, I'm blaming you.
Yep.
It's very seldom that you get a person that like, you know what? We just want to get rid of the case. We all agree, all done. Very, very rare.
They go to mediation.
Right. They don't end up in court if they're like that. Right.
Yep.
But like even in the advent of the uncontested divorce, people still want to fight each other.
Well,
like,
Kim and Kanye.
Yes. Like you don't have to prove fault. You don't have to prove anything in order to get a divorce. And people still in most states, and people still want to fight.
Kim and Kanye have a prenup. Their property's separate. They own things in their own names. Their businesses are all separate. There's not really child support issues. The only issue is going to be maybe a visitation schedule that it seems like they could sort out because they had already been doing it. And no.
They fighting.
Yep.
They fight. Well, I think, for them, it's clear why. She wants a divorce and he doesn't.
I think that's very clear.
Yeah. Like and there's so many reasons why things become contentious, but that one party does not want to separate did you see the TikTok of the family law lawyer who said that there's certain professions that are the worst for a man or a woman getting divorced. And for women, she said it was stay-at-home moms. And for men, it was people in uniform, that they behave the worst when in a divorce. And so I was like, from what I saw, my limited experience, she hit the nail right on the head. When one of them doesn't want to let go for whatever reason.
Yep.
Woo! The things that people will do. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. I mean, that's what we're seeing play out as Law and Lumber pops into the stream saying 3 of my favorites on one stream and my domestic litigation companion. Also, congrats to Bree on the trial win. Bree, we need to talk about that. Yes. How good did that feel? Natalie and Emily, talk about your first trial win, please. Well, Law and Lumber is just coming in with the great questions. Bree, was this your first trial?
Yes, this was my first trial. It was a custody matter, and it just involved, I'm trying not to give too much details because it's still pretty fresh.
Of course.
The father pushing for custody when he really didn't have a leg to stand on, and the mother just like, I'm okay with 50-50. What is your issue? And so we went to settlement conferences, we went to other hearings, and they're like, there's really no case here. Why are we going forward? But he still wanted to go forward. So it was a more experienced attorney. And then me. And honestly, I learned some of my objections from watching the Amber Heard trial.
Facts. Look, facts. Sometimes the stuff you learn in law school does not make sense until you see it in action. It's what, I mean, as a new DA, I would go watch as many people as I could in court because you learn from doing and from seeing. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was not a litigation attorney before. I was mostly doing transaction things. So, and I won on most of my objections. So that was exciting. And then when we got the custody order that we requested, I was like super excited. And so now I'm just waiting for the other attorney to confirm that he received the order. Because I know his clients are not happy. And I hope that they do not try to bring it back to court because it was just nothing there. It was a waste of
sometimes it doesn't matter how reasonable you are. If one side wants to fight, that's the thing about our process. It is adversarial. If one side wants to fight, they will fight. It's something I agreed with when Amber Heard said, I didn't choose this. He sued me. And it's like, right. And now you're in it. I mean, you chose to countersue, but we're going to let that go for a minute. But in civil, if you get sued, you're in it. And you have to decide how you're going to fight it. And you have to deal with it. You can get dragged into it even if you don't want to fight.
Yeah. That's very, very true.
Yeah. And even in my opinion, with that particular case, I thought that the mom should have had primary custody, but she was okay with 50-50. So I had to go with what she was asking for. Mhm.
Of course you're gonna win when your litigant is being so reasonable and the other
Yep.
one is not. Not, I'm sure that your skills just blew them away, but I would hope that, next time opposing counsel would be like, hey man, you're a little unreasonable here. You don't have as good
Yes.
of a chance. It sounds like you were really on the right side, on the just and ethical
Mhm.
side. I'm glad for you. That's good. That always
Yes,
feels
thank
good when
you.
you're like on the side of the good guy. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now you get sides where you don't have the good guy, and I have had that too, but that's a way tougher to deal with when they're not the good guy.
And I think
Yeah.
the thing is, you get to talk them through it though. You get to be the voice of reason and you get to be honest with them. And that's,
Mhm.
I mean, what good attorneys do. You'll see clients that end up on their third or fourth counsel and you're like,
Yes.
what are you doing? Why
Oh,
why
that's
am I
always
the
a bad sign.
why am I the
Always.
fourth person you've talked to? What is going on?
Oh yeah, that's always the when it's like he's on lawyer number 5 in a criminal case. Even that is never a good sign. It's
Yeah.
not going well.
Nope,
Natalie, do you want to talk about the first
not.
case you won?
So I guess I would say the first jury trial that I won.
Yeah.
Let's go with jury trial.
Yep.
So yeah, the first jury trial that I won will always stick with me because it was an allegation of an essay and a very outwardly presenting complaining witness who I was afraid of because she was so demure and young, and why would she make this up? But all the evidence was pointing to she was making this up because she was caught, underage drinking. And so, that's what we put forward. I mean, there was these just wild allegations that had they happened, there would have been evidence outside of what she said to back it up. And in fact, the evidence contradicted that. I'll say that this is over a decade ago. This happened now. But that trial was my first ever jury trial, and I won my first ever jury trial.
That's
And
very rare as a defense
right.
attorney. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I went in there being like,
Your first of all, your first jury trial ever being an essay is a really difficult thing
I
because those
know.
are
Yeah.
cross-examining, people who are telling the jury that they are the victim is a very, very difficult and kind of fine-tuned thing to do in the first place.
Yeah. And I have a cross-examination style that's more like hammer instead of carrot and stick. And so I was really afraid because I know that I can get into a mode where I'm like, no, that's not what I asked you. What I asked you was this. That's not the end. That you did not answer my question. I'm going to ask you again, and then getting a lot of objections and getting those objections overruled because you're not responsive to my, and that's tough to do with this demure
Yes.
17-year-old who's saying that this horrendous thing happened to her when all the evidence pointing the other guy, and your guy looks like a surfer guy in Ocean City who's maybe a little bit too old to be hanging out with a girl like this, maybe looks a little skeezy to some people. It's gonna be tough, but I think that ultimately the facts are on our side, and that always helps a lot, but it's just optics wise, I was very nervous about it, and thankfully it worked out, thankfully. But yeah, your first jury trial being an essay, winning your first jury trial, it was just it was crazy. And then I remember my supervisor saying like, don't get too used to it now.
You're like it's okay, we're starting out this way. My very, very, very first jury trial, the judge was fairly new and did not understand how peremptories worked. And so the judge was like, use them or lose them. I'm like, that's not how that goes. And the defense attorney was like, that's not how this goes. And so the defense attorney's trying to protect their case. I'm trying to protect my case. It's a misdemeanor DUI, but I knew it was the third. So in California, it's going to bump it into felony land if there's another DUI. And so I'm like, this actually, even though it's a misdemeanor, it matters because this is a recent and habitual pattern of drunk driving and nobody's been injured. And I'm like, can we please cut this off before someone gets injured or killed? So I felt very strongly about it, but the judge would not budge. So if I passed a peremptory, the judge would be like, no, you don't have any left. And so I asked the judge to take a break. He wouldn't do it. And he's like, show me where it says that. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I don't know.
That is so hard.
The Code of Civil Procedure.
Oh my God.
I need a minute to find this. I don't have a laptop on my desk. It's 2006.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, if you give me a minute, I can sit here and go through the Code of Civil Procedure and find it. But there are some things that are just so obvious that you don't know where to cite it to because it's never a question that comes up.
Oh,
yes, I think everyone knows.
So we end up down to not my last peremptory, because I had 4. I will never forget this, but we end up with a young lady who gets on the jury, and we ask if she can be fair. And she's like, look, this police department, my police department, has arrested multiple of my friends for DUI. It's how they make their money. They arrest everyone for DUI. And so I'll do my best to be fair. And so I go to the judge for cause, and he's like, no. And I was like,
but she said she'll do her best to be fair. Is that why?
Yep. New judge. That jury hung 11-1.
She's the one.
As she walked out, she looked at me and went, I was like,
did you guys recharge? Noted. Did you recharge?
We recharged and retried and convicted. I didn't get to retry it though, because I had already moved on to a different assignment. But I was I was just like, look, man, there's a lot of misdemeanors that are really, really stupid, but DUI can really cause a lot of damage. And so I was just like, and he was on probation for DUI. He's in his work uniform as a delivery driver, drinking, coming home from work, on his way to one of his meetings for his other DUI. It was just like all the things, bad driving, BAC, bad roadsides.
Non-defense attorney hat here, just human being hat. I don't think that we take DUI seriously enough in this country. I think maybe Georgia has like a zero tolerance. I really don't think we take it seriously enough.
I ended up doing, I had a friend that was killed when hit by a drunk driver in what ended up being a high profile crash. So I took DUI very seriously as a prosecutor. But it is hard. And later on in my career, I ended up doing a lot of cases that were vehicular cases. And it's very, very hard because you can see, I had defendants who were like, I would never drink and drive, but then something happened and they're out and the freeway slows down and they can't slow down fast enough and they have alcohol in their system and then they kill 3 people. It ruins their life, their family's life, the other. It's just such a mess. It's just such a mess. But, Uber has come a long way. The access, at least in metro areas, access to a car to get you home safely, is a little better than it was, but it's just.
I mean, not to be, judgmental at all, because, I've been young, I've been dumb, but just when you can see the collateral consequences that can come from something like that, please take an Uber. Please, 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 please. Like take an Uber, take a Lyft, do something.
Or get booze delivered at home and party there.
Oh, so much. Oh,
that's so much better than
the drinks
going
are
out.
cheaper. Nobody's grabbing your ass. The floors are clean.
Yes.
Your bathroom has toilet paper. Like,
I love it. Yes.
You can listen to whatever music you want.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah.
But no, it is. And it's, moving from a metro area in California, I was surprised that I live pretty far out, can still get an Uber. But I'm also old, and if I drink when I go out now, I'll fall asleep. So I tend to not do that. But it's a hard thing.
What's a peremptory, Emily?
Sorry, I didn't back up. So when you're in jury selection, we talked about this a lot when we talked about the Maxwell Juror 15. You have challenges, and you get a certain amount depending on the jurisdiction, the type of case it is, everything. And you can use them to pass a juror for any legal cause. You can't pass them for improper causes. There are a few things that are illegal, like, you can't pass somebody because of their race and you're trying to exclude all, of POCs off a jury or what have you. You can't do it for other illegal reasons. But for other reasons, you can just remove someone from a jury. And maybe it's that they're not going to be a good fit, or they're too domineering, or whatever it is, or they don't like you and you can tell they don't like you as the attorney, and you're like, that you need to be gone because I can see that you hate my face. So goodbye.
Yeah.
So you get to excuse people for, whatever proper reason, which is different than for cause, which is like, I've had this experience. I cannot be fair on this case. So generally, if you like the jury panel, you accept them. But then if you still have peremptories left, and then a new juror pops up because a defense attorney dismisses someone, then you still get to keep using them. And the judge said to me when we were at sidebar, well, if you could pass peremptories and keep them, then it could give one side an advantage. And I was like, it's literally the entire fucking point. It's literally the whole, this is a strategy.
Strategically enough, the attorney who uses them the most strategically has the advantage. If you're both really, really good at it, then it's equal. But that's about attorney competence, not about the rules themselves.
This is a judge who you would come back from the end of the day if your trial got sent there and just be like, this is where I'm at. And it's like, okay. The site judge came down and chewed him out. The thing that was the most frustrating is that he swore that jury panel before he would take a break to listen to anybody else. If he hadn't sworn the jury panel, we could have fixed it, but he wouldn't do it. So that was just where arrogance just overrode. And the defense attorney was just like, the defense attorney could have gamed the system way more and just shut the fuck up and sat there and was like, Your Honor, I don't think that's right.
No, I mean, well,
Ethics.
I was about to say we have ethical obligations.
Yep.
We ain't kind of, what I'm saying? Like, I want to win my case, sure, but it's like I don't want to be on record being like, yeah, judge, you're right.
And didn't at all. I mean, didn't at all. Was just, and that's the thing about criminal that makes it hard to sometimes watch civil is I got along with most of the defense attorneys I worked with. I respected them. There would be times in court where we would do our cases hard, but we're not attacking each other in court or going after each other, and in civil, it can get so ugly.
It is uncivil in civil practice. The way that, not always, but it has more of a tendency to go that way. Whereas in criminal, we have people with their lives on the line, or someone that was seriously injured, or someone that was killed, or something like that. Someone's property was seriously damaged to the point where it's a criminal matter. And yet for some reason, and again, this is not me being hoity-toity because I've been on the civil side of things and I've gotten snippy, right? But for some reason in criminal, it's just a lot easier to stay collegiate with people. It just is. I don't know why collegial. I don't know why it is, but it just is, right?
The stakes are higher. I think there's bigger consequences and it gives a different perspective. You're also, I think in civil, when your clients are paying, there might be more of a need to put on that show for your client because you're like, I'm showing you that I'm earning my money. Like, here's my bitch ass emails that I'm sending out being like, per my last email, blah, blah, blah. You suck, blah, blah, blah. Turn this over.
You're getting paid for that email too.
And it escalates. And we saw it in like the pretrial discovery with Depp Heard. You see the relationship between the attorneys escalating where they're frustrated with each other. And that's years and years and years of dealing with each other. But I might deal, and Natalie, I'm sure this is your experience too. I might deal with the same defense attorney on 30 cases.
Yeah.
Like none of us have the energy for that. None of us need to bring the energy for that. And I can do what's right by a case and they can do what's right by a case if we can work well together. Because sometimes finding justice takes both sides to work together.
Right.
And that's more important.
Yeah.
That's right. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I have a temper. I just do. Okay. I have a temper.
I am shook.
That I work on, but when it comes to my clients' rights, I get a little salty about that, right? I try my damnedest to remain as professional and collegial as possible with opposing counsel because it is to the benefit of my client. And then also, who wants to be rude and nasty with the person they're going to see for years to come? If that state's attorney, for us, that's what we call them, state's attorney. If that state's attorney is going to be in there, maybe they're politically minded, maybe they want to run one day, they're going to be in there for a long time. You want to really get into a fight with them over something unnecessary? Now you're going to stand up for your client. Don't get me wrong. You're going to do that. That's never.
No, when you need to fight, you fight.
You fight, but you just don't need to do it in such a way that it becomes nasty. Now that, again, I said that caveat because I have slipped. I I have sinned and fallen short of the glory. Okay. I have not always been perfect, but I try. I swear to God, I try. And it's just a little bit different.
There were definitely days, but most of my rage stayed for the bench, because generally it wasn't, the defense attorneys were doing their job. There were times with the bench, I stormed out of juvenile court once, stormed out. It was probably the most overdramatic shit I have ever done in my life. But I was so angry, and I was just like, y'all don't need me? Fine. I'm out. Like, pushed my chair back, stood up, walked out, slammed the door. Juvenile court's different.
I can't handle juvenile. I can't. I sometimes I get clients that are in that age range because they're charged as adults. So they're like 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And I cannot sleep. Like, I just concluded a case where when it began, my client was 19. Two cases like that. And I'll go to the not so recent one, the one right before that, when the case started out. When I first got his case, he was 19. By the time we concluded it, he was 20 years old. I have never done this before. I was sobbing at his sentencing, because whatever brings I can't help but to call them babies. I know everybody thinks differently, but whatever brings a baby to be there under my care, oh my God.
Yeah.
The life circumstances are usually atrocious. And so I really beg my job, please don't give me any more babies. Like, I could never do juvenile. I couldn't. Some of the kids in juvenile are like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Juvenile was the hardest assignment in my career. And the defense attorney and I, at the end of the day, we would be like, we're talking about our cases. Like, what are we doing with this? And we're trying to find solutions and trying to look at the circumstances. And it's like, we don't have the tools or the resources to fix this. Yeah. And it was hard. It was always absolutely heartbreaking. We had some that were just like, you're bank robbing? Like, we've gone to bank robbery. Like, we need a minute to chat about the bank robbery and the carjacking. But for a lot of them, it was not serious stuff. They were trying to like live. And that was really hard.
Yeah. It's like some of it is just a grade above like shoplifting. You know what I'm saying? That like, it's like, or like repeated things. But I mean, by the time I get them, their charges are serious. They are the ones that
because they're an adult.
Yeah, because they're being there was reason to find that they should be, prosecuted as an adult. And it is just so hard. The system is over them. The family situation is horrendous. They've got no support, and they don't even have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. It's just like, I hate those cases so much. I lose so much sleep over them. I spend so much time on them. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. My hat's off to all juvenile attorneys. You are all doing amazing work. You're amazing attorneys. I'm so proud of you. Can't be me.
I mean, when I look at the places where our system needs more resources, juvenile is one of the places where, I mean, the amount of mental health and life circumstances and family circumstances that just there aren't resources for. If the juvenile system had resources to actually help kids before they reached adult, most of them, you can redirect that if you had something. So I hear you.
Almost all of them, except for maybe one, and I'll get off the subject after this. Almost all of them, except for maybe one, their parents are my age. And so, I interact with the parents more when they're, that young. And it's just a lot of me just wanting to be like, get your shit together. Yeah. Can you not see what's happening here? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's just a lot of that. So yes, hats off to all.
But I'm all like, maybe if we just stopped criminalizing weed and just put some of that effort into maybe juvenile services, like, could we just redirect resources? I mean, that's a whole priest. Like, yep.
Yeah. Well, I've never done any juvenile anything. Obviously, I'm a baby lawyer.
But you're in family law. You're going to see all the stuff that affects the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my mom actually works at the juvenile center, like when the kids are in detention.
At the detention center,
if that's what they call them. Yeah. And so a lot of the times they really just need somebody there to talk to them, listen to them, bring them snacks. I remember being young and my mom was like taking my Rice Krispies to give to the kids. And they like really appreciated just someone bringing them something that they didn't have when they were not in the detention center. And so some of them, they don't have anywhere to go outside of the detention center. So they end up going back and doing more things to go back. When if they just have some type of program or into sports or something to distract them, then I don't think a lot of the kids will end up in that situation, which is sad.
We had kids asking to stay. Like home life was what it was, that they were like, can I please stay here and have food and a roof over my head and go to school? Like, I'll just stay here. And that's when kids are like, juvenile detention is the best thing I've got going. We've got problems.
Lots and lots. Yep.
But instead of solving the problems of the world today, should we talk about celebrities getting themselves into some shit other than Depp v. Heard? Because we kind of talk about how we all got to Depp v. Heard and the coverage of it. I also hadn't intended on covering it as much. I came into the case. I looked at the ruling out of the UK because the law nerds asked about it. And I was like, what's this ruling? And then I got kind of skewered. People were like, but the judge didn't consider this and the judge didn't consider that. I'm like, but this is the ruling. Like, I'm breaking down the ruling. The judge in the UK gets to use their own discretion. This is what they decided. It seemed a little patronizing about he seemed to discount if Depp was drinking or using it all. He was like, oh, well, he can't tell us the truth. And I'm like, that seems a little heavy-handed, but this is the judge's prerogative. So then we come around to Depp v. Heard, and I'm like, I'm just covering his testimony and her testimony. And then after I covered his testimony, people were like, are we just doing this every day? I'm like, I guess we're just doing this every day.
Doing it.
Like, by then the characters, I was already into the characters. I was already like, oh, Elaine. Like, I want to see this woman run a whole trial.
I can't say Elaine's name without hearing it in your voice. Oh, Elaine.
Elaine.
Exasperation. I think your coverage, and I loved a lot of you law tubers coverage of it. I watched all of you guys when I could, but what I really loved about it is that you have a certain, I mean, it's the best media savvy, where it's like you've given these people nicknames, tags, and you're consistent and you bring it to each and every stream, and it's locking the people in and they're understanding concepts because you're like, you've created an acronym for it and applies to each litigant, and it's like so good. It was such good. I heard, Elaine. Oh, and did you call her Umbridge at one point?
Yeah, I did. I called her. I said it in her opening statement. In her opening statement, she lectured the jury like Umbridge lecturing the kids at Hogwarts. And that was the vibe she gave me. This is the benefit and downside of an ADHD brain. This is where my brain goes. I'm like, I feel like I'm being yelled at. Like, she's yelling at me during her opening. I didn't feel like she was pulling me into a story. I felt like she was literally haranguing me like, you made it. And I was like, so from her opening, I was like, I can't. I'm out. Like, I'm out with this.
That's never good.
No.
Turned off the listener in the opening.
Yep, because I liked Rottenborn in the opening. So I was like, oh, this makes sense. When Rottenborn finished his opening, I'm like, if they try this case this way, they have a very good shot at winning. It did not go that way.
Rottenborn take more of the lead.
They did.
I think he did some of the closing, and I thought that it was, and his cross of Johnny Depp was quite good. Quite good. There was a lot to work with there, and I just felt like it would be Rottenborn taking one step forward and Elaine taking 100 steps back.
It's like they were arguing. Yeah, they were like arguing different cases. They weren't on the same page at all.
They did not feel on the same page at all. So today, the Beverly Hills Bar Association had a CLE that they also streamed to YouTube with Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. And so I was like, I'm going to watch this anyway, and I get CLE credits. Sweet. So for all of you in the chat, continuing legal education, got to do it. Great. I get to listen to them and I get credit. Great. And I get to chat with a lot of the law nerds in the chat. It was really fun. But Ben Chu was talking about the way his team divided up the work. And so on Fridays, when they were breaking down all of the evidentiary objections on the depositions and cutting those up, to what's going on in court, he had the younger attorneys on his team handling all of it. Like they were handling all of the depositions so that the lead attorneys in court were not working as much those Fridays. They were there, but they were working on other things. They were getting lunch and the younger attorneys were doing it. He was saying essentially Elaine and Rottenborn were doing all of that too. So on Fridays when they're working 12 hours doing all these depo cut-ups, that wasn't assigned out to anybody else on the team. So Ben Chu was talking about the fatigue that he noticed on the other side. And he said he was very kind about it, but he was talking about the differences in the way their teams worked. And I wonder if that's Elaine not trusting anyone else or if that's the client not trusting anyone else. But it worked, I think, to Johnny Depp's favor. His legal team was a lot smoother in court.
Yeah, it sounds like they had issues with delegation, and that's a trust issue. Because I've worked on teams, defense teams. Usually, in your murder case, you don't want to be the only person there. You really should have another attorney with you, maybe even 2 more attorneys with you. And in my most recent one, we were a team of 3 lawyers, and we certainly delegated to each yes, that's the right word, delegated to each other's strengths, right? And you're so good at technical things and phone records, and you're awesome at like understanding the ME report and stuff like that. All that tech stuff, that's going to be you. There's a lot of tech in this case. You're basically our lawyer IT person. That was my co-counsel.
You just described me on all of the prosecution teams I was ever on. It's like, oh, cell phone records, Emily.
Okay. She's probably not going to appreciate me to mention her, but Christy, the genius of our office. We call her a de facto supervisor. She's so smart. She is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. So tech savvy. And I love working with her, and because I am dumb with all those things, right? Whereas for me, it's like, okay, you're a lunatic who likes to cross-examine everyone, and you like pretrial motions. Cross-examine these people and do these pretrial motions because you're a lunatic who likes to do those things. And then our other co-counsel who's warm and loving and inviting. Oh, you take these witnesses that are state's witnesses that are not going to be so aggressive because the jury's going to love you talking to them, and you're going to do the opening because you're going to welcome the jury into our case, right? You have to delegate to people's strengths. And what better way to delegate than to less experienced attorneys who have nothing else to do but to look at deposition testimony and compare inconsistencies. Like
it takes
your eyes are going to cross if you're doing all the main stuff and then you have them doing, you don't, and then you do that. I can see why that was an issue.
These are your witnesses. You get to choose, make the evidentiary objections. And that's an area where, if you lose a few, it's probably not the end of the world. And it's a great way to learn litigation strategy. And then you've got people supervising. It was really nice to see how complimentary Ben Chu was of his team. And what he talked about was that Camille Vasquez put together most of the team and helped delegate people out. Like a lot of it was her. And Ben Chu said, I just looked for all the attorneys that are smarter than me, and it wasn't that hard. He goes, I trust the people that work at our firm. I trust who I'm working with. And you could really tell that he believes it. The thing I learned about him that I did not know, he has a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old. And so he has young kids. And so you can see him kind of taking on that role with his team. Like, look, I want you to be the best. He was, I imagine people very much enjoy working for him. I am sure he is not always like the fun, snarky guy. I'm sure there is some bite to that snark when you're getting into other types of things, but he's never going to show that to a jury.
No. Well, there was some bite to that snark in the filings.
Yeah, there was.
The unsealed documents. My goodness, he had some fire for Elaine. It's like, once again, Elaine is wrong.
Did you see the transcript where he talked about it being his nightmare?
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
It was Natalie, tell Bree what happened in this transcript. Bree, it was one of my favorite things in these pretrial motions.
No, I can't remember what he said his nightmare was with her.
So they were on a Zoom call. Elaine's mic is not unmuted, and then she ends up on 2 screens. And he's like, this is my nightmare. There's 2 of Elaine.
Yes. Oh, I forgot. I just remember him saying it was his nightmare, and it was in relation to Elaine.
Yep.
I can only imagine.
And he didn't let it show in front of the jury. Like, and that is part of being kind of an excellent attorney. It was that case, man. I think it took all of us, like, we were not planning on this is what I'm going to do for the next 5-6 weeks. It took me by surprise for sure. And it was, I don't know. I didn't cover Jones. I know there were some fiery court moments. I might go back and look at some of the court stuff and some of the stuff the judge did, but it's so intertwined with stuff that's really hard to talk about, especially with my kids going back to school, that I didn't want to cover it. But seeing court on, real court on TV or real court streaming, I think is such a benefit. And I hope we see a lot more of it. Really.
Yeah. I covered Jones, and I will cover more of it. I highly encourage you to cover it, YouTube Bree, if you have time, because it is just absolutely fascinating. The issue, the defamation issue there, right? Because it's like, and then also the intentional infliction of emotional distress claim, which I think is like the less talked about part of it, which is really what I think got him to such high punitive damages. The behavior on the stand, the judge's admonishments, it was just like fireworks everywhere, just really spectacular litigating by the plaintiff's attorney, the young man who cross-examined Alex Jones. I found that to be a very fascinating case. And once again, I didn't go into that knowing a lot about it because I'd never seen Alex Jones's show, but it was just to watch it from fresh eyes, it was very interesting.
The clip I saw was the plaintiff's counsel going like, "Why, yes, Mr. Jones, your attorney sent me all of this discovery." And I was like, what happened? What is happening here? And that's where I was just like, the attorney had so much glee after Jones was like, "Well, I guess you're having your Perry Mason moment." I'm like, oh God. Okay.
But to say, as the person on the stand, I guess you're having your Perry Mason moment is just so surreal to me.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, wow. In a criminal case of mine, in a district court bench trial, at one point, the victim who's testifying and I'm cross-examined just goes out and says, "I have amnesia," right? And like, I'm not going to tell you all about the trial, but that was just an insane thing to say with everything that was going on. And the judge just went, "Well, that was your Perry Mason moment, Miss Whittingham." And he just was like, "Hey, how much more time we got on this? Because I know where I'm going. Let's go. I want to get off my boat. Let's go."
Do you see the chat going, "Who is Perry Mason?" This is the thing. That as our juries get younger and younger, we are going to get more and more people being like, "Who is Perry Mason?" We're going to have to start saying this is your Elle Woods moment, and you wouldn't have had a chance she wouldn't have had a chance to put the gun down while you were yes, it's going to have to start being your Elle Woods moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm sitting here confused, but I'm just
okay. I was waiting for you to say something, but I didn't want to ask. Okay.
I wait for the chat.
Older school TV lawyer. So now we're going to have to go to your Elle Woods moment because,
it's going to be your Camille Vasquez moment.
It is now,
even
right?
Though she's not a fictional character. But yes, Perry Mason was a fictional character. The Perry Mason show. It was the Perry Mason show, wasn't it? It wasn't another name.
So.
Perry Mason show. And the way that he would cross-examine people and he would like trip them up and they would confess on the stand. Like that was basically what happened every episode.
Like in Legally Blonde, where she's like, "I thought it was you coming in the door." And you're like,
yes.
"Look, take her into custody," which of course is not what's going to happen ever. But
she wanted on like a perm or something like that. Like, like why would you wash your hair? No one that gets a perm would be washing their hair right afterwards. You would deactivate the chemical. So you
ammonium perglycerate. And if you weren't in the shower, you wouldn't have time to, she wouldn't have had time to stash the gun and she was like, "That's right." So she ended up being anyway. Yeah. Legally Blonde. Brie, have you not seen Legally Blonde? You're like, "No."
I have not seen Legally Blonde. Nope.
Okay. Wow. I feel like Legally Blonde is probably more my generation, but Perry Mason, because I am a nerd, is obviously I've seen the Perry Mason show, But so now I'm wondering, like, what's
the go-to, Brie?
The go-to for Brie's generation of attorneys for like
I
the
couldn't tell
lawyer.
I stay away from lawyer shows, lawyer movies, things like that. So I really couldn't tell you.
Wait. So if I start talking about these two Utes, you don't know what I'm talking about. Is that true?
No.
Oh.
No.
Bree, I'm going to give you have, okay, look, for lawyer stuff, just My Cousin Vinny and Legally Blonde. Just
Okay.
those two.
Yeah.
I got homework on the Emily D. Baker show.
Natalie, do you agree?
Well, I made a whole video on how My Cousin Vinny is the best legal law movie of all time. Forget 12 Angry Men, forget everything else, right? The Usual Suspects. It's because they get the law so accurately. The discovery process, cross-examination, your right to remain silent, expert witnesses, like lay witnesses that become experts because even though she doesn't have a degree in being an auto mechanic, she spent all her life around cars and grew up in her dad's shop. And that's why she knows all the stuff about the fender. Like, I know that I sound like I'm speaking absolute nonsense if you've never seen it, but I am so passionate about My Cousin Vinny being the best legal movie of all time. Joe Pesci is amazing.
Marissa Tomei is amazing.
Is a revelation. She won the Oscar for that part. Please watch it. And also, as a New Yorker who at one point lived in kind of the South on the Eastern Shore, I just really, the fish out of water thing that he had going on. It was amazing.
It was not fish out of water, y'all. It was fish out of water.
Water.
Yeah, I heard that, Nat. I heard that, and I loved every second of it. But my mom's side of my family is from Jersey, so I love it. And we would end up in Ocean City in the summer, and Jersey is just so different from Southern California. And I loved everything about it. And I love that about My Cousin Vinny too. And it's, it's an underdog story at the end of the day.
So I feel like there has to be a show or a movie or something that Brie loves that you and I have no cultural reference for, Emily.
Probably.
Please give us your favorite show, favorite movie. Go, Brie, on the spot.
I could. It's not gonna come to my head now because
Brie's like the pressure. It's all right because Brie has been watching Housewives. Were you into Housewives before they started getting into legal mess, or did the legal mess pull you in?
The legal mess, I kind of got out of Housewives when the legal mess started coming. So I used to watch Housewives from like maybe 2008 to, I would say I recently stopped watching it maybe in like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Natalie, have you been following the Tom Girardi stuff or no?
Not at all. Remember, okay. Not at all.
This is what we're going to talk about next.
Let's do it.
And then we'll talk about Murdaugh. Have you been following Murdaugh at all? Yeah. Brie, have you been following it too?
I haven't. No.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then Natalie, we're going to get to tell each other about cases we're covering, and then we'll pick one because there's a pastor that got robbed or didn't get robbed that I'm very confused about and I want to hear about.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait to tell. The pastor? Absolutely.
I know, and I know nothing. I know nothing about it. So perfect.
So much
All right,
fun.
Let's talk about Girardi first. So are you familiar with Erika Girardi, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills at all, Natalie?
I am not. I never got into BH. Never.
Larger than life. Her entire personality is that she's super, super, super fucking rich. This is the whole gig. $40K a month on glam, has a music career in her 40s. Like the audience, she was an ice queen, married to an older attorney, Tom Girardi, very, very well-known plaintiff's attorney in Southern California, very politically well-connected, has a lot of people he helped get onto the bench. Could probably get the governor on the phone. Well, used to could get the governor on the phone with just a dial up, the sheriff, the police chief, everyone. Super well connected, toxic tort plaintiffs law firm. Back in 2020, she files for divorce in November, tries to bury it around the election. That doesn't work. And then the lawsuits percolate to the surface. One out of the Lion Air crash, which was there were two Boeing air crashes close in time that were full fatalities in Indonesia. His firm was part of a large group of other plaintiffs representing. His co-counsel, local counsel firm filed a lawsuit in the Illinois case saying, hey, our clients haven't gotten paid. And it had all of the tea in this lawsuit. We think the divorce is a sham. We think the law firm lent her $20 million. Our clients haven't gotten paid. The federal judge in Illinois is like, what? we're having an OSC, we're freezing assets. What we're not going to do is not pay clients. Boeing gave you the money. The clients didn't get the money. What's happening? Where is it? And that's when
all of this arose out of the divorce proceeding?
Well, the divorce tipped off, I think, the lawsuit because I think, were worried that the money was gone when she jumped ship. I think it's what freaked the attorneys out. Like, because it happened so close in time. There were other lawsuits going on in California that hadn't quite come to the surface in public that were very large. Short in time after that, they have the order to show cause. The judge freezes Tom Girardi's assets, is trying to figure out why this $2 million isn't getting paid, holds him in contempt. His attorney's on the phone saying, we think the money's gone. Then a bunch of creditors get together, file a forced bankruptcy, force him into bankruptcy, force the law firm into bankruptcy, and then the wheels come all the way the fuck off. There are dozens and dozens of lawsuits that come to the surface. Now, many more than that have come to the surface. Clients' money is gone. The law firm has limited assets, apparently. We are now at the point 2 years later in the bankruptcy where the bankruptcy of the law firm is showing over $100 million in creditors, and they haven't quite figured out the assets yet. They did the big bankruptcy liquidation, and in that liquidation were cars and bottles of wine and skimpy lingerie that was not purchased for Erika that she talked about on the show that was in his desk drawer from Fredericks of Hollywood. Yes. Yes.
A lot.
Yes. And now they're still fighting over, earrings that she has that are worth over $1 million because he wrote a check to the jeweler out of a client trust account directly to the jeweler for $750,000 to buy these earrings.
How did that go unnoticed?
How did any of this go unnoticed?
How does that go? No, wait, hold on. That doesn't make any sense.
So the state bar...
It's not over.
The state bar... the LA Times has been doing a really good job with their investigation. He was throwing parties for the investigators on the state bar. Some of the state bar investigators had worked at his firm. So he had connections not just to politicians, but also to the state bar. One of his clients in a large gas oil leak explosion had won a $12 million settlement from PG&E, had got $1 million from him. He stopped paying. They had to find a lawyer, which took a while, find a lawyer to sue Tom Girardi. They sued Tom Girardi, won a judgment against him for not paying them their settlement, started enforcing their settlement. He stopped paying again, so they attached all of his property. So they're still owed $11 million. And it's just client after client, legal lender after legal lender. Now there's another lawsuit alleging a RICO organization that the law firm was running as a RICO organization. With the legal lenders, saying the legal lenders were propping this up, hoping that he would keep collecting on cases to pay them back. It is an absolute, it's Murdaugh-like, but there are no murders yet that anyone's been charged with. And all of this is going down as they're filming Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So you're watching the women on the show find out about this, as Erika's finding out about this, as it's all coming crumbling down. And the bankruptcy trustee is after everything. She has a hairline. They're after the hair. They're after the jewelry. They're after the clothes. They're after all of it. And so she's still on the show as this continues to unfold. Yep. And so the state bar. Go, Bree. Bree wants to talk the bar.
I wasn't talking about the bar. I'm just saying a lot of the things that Erika was having was being paid for out of the law firm's bank accounts, direct credit cards and things like that, allegedly is what is in the complaint. So now they're suing
American
her directly.
Express. Yeah. The law firm was paying her Amex. So we've seen allegations of upwards of $11 million over time that was paid to her American Express. But we're also seeing allegations that money was funneled to her businesses and whether her businesses were just shell organizations. The end story for all of this period is that the IRS is like, like the IRS is going to have the last laugh on all of this shit because the way the corporations were operating looks like Tom Girardi was just shell gaming money around with Erika's corporation and his own. I don't know what she knows. I still don't know how much she knows. Because he was winning billion-dollar settlements. So where is all this money going? If you're getting 30 plus 40% of $1 billion, where the fuck does it go?
Their lifestyle is really expensive, and they were owing so many people. So it looked like, from what's being alleged, is as money was coming in, they're paying off older clients. And
totally looked like a Ponzi scheme.
Money.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yep.
Exactly.
I am sitting here blown away. Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Never any disciplinary action. And when you look at the lawsuits, there are hundreds of lawsuits alleging attorney malpractice. Oh, we forgot about the doxing the federal judge. Thank you, chat. When Erika was really mad, she ended up doxing a woman who's now a federal judge that Tom was allegedly having an affair with. On Instagram. What was funny is that federal judge's attorney put out a statement to the media about it, because she had a picture of the judge and left the judge's phone number on it. The attorney that was representing her had been a DA at the same time I had been a DA. I was like, I know that name. What's going on? But the federal judge had an affair with Tom and admitted it. She was like, I was single. We were together.
At the time that she doxed her, she was a federal judge?
No. Oh, yeah. She was a federal judge when she got doxed. I don't think she was on the federal bench yet when she and Tom were having an affair. He's finally been disbarred. But he, and then he went into a conservatorship.
Yeah.
I forgot the cherry. He's now in a conservatorship for dementia.
He was very competent when he was moving all that money around. How is he old? Is that what it is?
He's 86 or something. Yeah, he's old. He's older. So now there's all these proceedings going on in the Illinois court, because the Illinois federal judge is like, fuck around and find out. And so the Illinois federal judge Durkin is like, I want to know what the other lawyers were up to. I want to know what they know. I want to know why it didn't come to me. I want to know why no one told me. Like, what did you know? What did you do? What the fuck is happening here? And one of those other lawyers is Tom Girardi's son-in-law. So his son-in-law is one of the attorneys that's on the hook for, why didn't you bring it to the court's attention? And in the latest lawsuit, the one that alleges the RICO organization, it has the emails between a client liaison in the Philippines where they're like, we didn't get paid. Oh yeah, we know, blah, 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 blah. So the timing is showing that they knew that the money had come in from Boeing. They knew that the clients hadn't been paid and were putting the clients off by lying to them.
Right. And so in the most recent one, I forget the girl's name, but it's like Nicolas Cage's baby mother or something like that. They're suing other attorneys within the firm as well with the emails that Emily was just talking about. And what they would do is, like, let's say they were owed $1 million. They would say, all the money hasn't come in, but Tom has approved $50,000. So they'll send them like $50,000 to try to like keep them away.
Like little breadcrumbing them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In some of Tom's older cases, one of the things that was hard to see is that he was breadcrumbing people along until the statute of limitations ran out for attorney malpractice. So a lot of those cases got yeeted because of statute of limitation. The rage. I know. Oh, Brentwood Chick, the yacht name. This season in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we learn that the yacht name. Oh, she's still on the show. The name of the yacht. Erika is drunk off her ass on someone else's yacht. And she was like,
we had a yacht once. It was called the Illegal.
Period.
I love the voice change.
The Illegal.
Dude, what the fuck? Dude, what?
They had two airplanes. They had the music videos, the life. It's so much more money than we're looking at in the Murdaugh case, plus reality TV, plus a Beverly Hills lifestyle. It's so crazy. And the LA Times is not giving up on the state bar. And so there's a case at the California Supreme Court. Yes. There's a case in California Supreme Court.
That has made me actually angry.
Yes.
Because it's regulatory capture is what's happened here. It's one law firm that's allowed to participate in regulatory capture of the California State Bar.
Mm-hmm. And when maybe it's just me, but in law school, it was like, look, I don't care what you do. Client money, disbarred immediately.
That's what I'm saying.
Disbarred immediately.
Yeah.
I don't care. 10 cents, disbarred.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they track it.
I can tell this story on myself because this has already been dealt with. I had a client trust account for the 2 seconds that I worked for myself, and I had no money in the client trust account. None at all, because I didn't have any active clients at the time. Broke as shit. Not as, I had no money. And also,
Fair.
you're not supposed to carry money in the account either.
Right. No.
Once you do the work, you withdraw the money. It shouldn't just be sitting there in the account, right? But you keep it there until you've done the work. So you've done the work, or client is giving you funds for whatever reason, you put it in there. But no clients were giving me funds. I had done the work. I had withdrawn the money. So this client trust account was just sitting out there. And then I went back to my employer, right? Because I was like, this is not the life for me, but forgot to close the goddamn account. So there were no client funds sitting there, nothing at all. And it got a service fee from the bank because it had been sitting there stagnant for like a year because I forgot about it and I forgot to close it out. Why did I get a letter from the bar associate, or not the what do they call them? I can't remember. I dealt with them Attorney Grievance Commission. I get a letter from the Attorney Grievance Commission saying your trust account is overdrawn. Write us back right away, telling us why, or else you will be disbarred. And there was no client money in that account. There would never be, because I had not been working for myself in a year. And you mean to tell me that this man bought his wife things out of the client trust account and they didn't notice?
$750,000 earrings written directly out of the client trust account because the checks were attached. So some of this, I'm like, some of it's still alleged, but some of these clients, this isn't alleged. Some of these clients have already sued and attached all of his property because they still haven't gotten their money back. It's insane. And when the state bar disbarred him, they went through some of the client trust account and were like, this is the balance and this is the balance. These are the commingled funds. And I'm like, why didn't you do anything?
They monitor the account. They get notice of every single thing that happens with the account. And there are people whose job it is to be like, oh, Natalie's mic is Natalie is just screechy. It's not my mic, it's me. I'll move it over here. Okay. I'll move it back. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. You sound great to me.
Person. Okay. I'm a loud person. I'm very sorry. But no, are you kidding me?
I know.
Will never get over that letter that I got, because when I wrote them back, I was like, oh my God, I do not work for myself anymore. There's no client funds in there. It was just a service fee from an empty account. Oh, they were like, oh no, it's fine. It happens all the time. But thank you for writing us back.
Fix it.
Guess what? The failure not to write them back and the failure not to put your own money back in there and fix that and then close the account will get you disbarred. So $750,000 of personal use money from a client trust account. You can't buy things directly out of a client trust account.
Yes, correct, accurate. I wonder if, I still don't have the answer to this. I wonder if this was set up as a business bank account and not properly set up with the bank as a client trust account so that it wasn't being monitored by the bar. I wonder if the firm had like an itty bitty little like IOLTA account on the side that was getting monitored, but they were using a standard bank account. Because at the bank, if you're setting up an attorney client trust account, it is a special kind of account that you set up with your bank. I wonder if they were using a regular bank account as their client trust account. I think we'll see more of that parse out. But the one forensic auditor already quit. The accountant has already filed with the bankruptcy saying, I'm pleading the fifth if you ask me anything. And you've got special litigators in 2 different bankruptcies, because there's the personal one with like the racehorses and the house in Pasadena, and then the law firm one. It's a mess. And the bankruptcy trustee or the bankruptcy judge in the personal bankruptcy has already said they're not writing off the bankruptcy. So she's going to be left holding with the crater of debt from the personal side, because they still haven't been able to sell the house off. It's just such a fucking pit of mess.
Oh my God.
But the fuckery that was going on with the trust account is just. And this is why the IRS is going to be like, hi, we're the IRS. We'd like you to give us everything. The bank accounts, there's multiple bank accounts that they hadn't even found them all for a while. Then all of the apparently bookkeeping was done on paper. So they couldn't find all of the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
This firm's getting $1 billion settlements and they're doing shit on paper. So nothing's really in the books. And I'm like, my speculation, I'm like, is this willful? Are they keeping two sets of books? Or is this like, where's the paper set?
Paper bookkeeping in 2020, you said in 2020 with $1 billion settlements?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Multiple.
Well, they're gonna blame it on the fact that he's an old attorney, so he's just trying to keep it old school, which makes me also think that bank account wasn't really the true IOTA bank account that you need to set up and pay the interest every month. Because I have one, they take their interest religiously to make sure they're not gonna miss that. So
that's
and you
was
have
the interest. That's what did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking
I'm bitter. I think I'm a little bitter.
The chat's asking, why did the jeweler take a check from the trust account? I don't think the check knew. I think it just said Girardi Case on it. I don't think the check didn't say trust account on it. It didn't say client trust account.
Who's the other partner in the firm? You said
there's a bunch of them. Case. So here's why I feel bad for Case. Case was one of the creditors that sued to put this all in forced bankruptcy because Girardi was paying him out his retirement monthly as money came into the firm. Case has long been retired. So Case is still owed a shit ton of money from Girardi for his retirement that he's never going to get. So I feel bad for him too, because he was like, look, I'll leave. There were probably cases that he had that were finishing up that he had worked on that he was entitled to attorney's fees for. So they had an agreement of how much he would get paid. And then he also owned part of the building that they owned for the law firm, but it had like 7 liens on it or something. So the law firm had money going every which way. The house had money going every which way. It's collateral for multiple lenders. So this dude's like, my whole retirement's wrapped up in this firm. And then it's just gone.
It's not a law firm
$100 million.
Yeah, not a law firm anymore. So they had to take the cases that are still ongoing and shuttle them out to other attorneys. So this bankruptcy trustee is trying to take the client files, get them to other attorneys, then negotiate fee agreements so that some attorneys' fees still come back into the law firm, into the bankruptcy estate, so it can pay out whoever they can get to. The thing that's unfortunate is most of the clients don't have secured debt because they didn't know. So the secured creditors are probably going to take up the bulk of this money, and the secured creditors are not the clients that have been wronged for the most part. There are a few. Oh, you guys want to talk about the trustee versus trustee lawsuit? There is a lawsuit going on between the trustee of the law firm bankruptcy and the special prosecutor of the personal bankruptcy over clients. So there's also a lawsuit going on there. So the special litigator that was hired to do the bankruptcy over the personal property is also in a lawsuit with the trustee over clients that they took from Girardi and Case as this was all going down because they were co-counsel on another case. It's fuck wild.
Yeah, it's wild. And is she still making songs? Because she did make a song called "It's Expensive to Be Me." It's gonna get real expensive.
Yeah, she had a whole
but not in the way in which she intended it to be expensive. No. It's going to be expensive for her to be her.
Oh yeah. The state of California franchise tax board is already like, hey, you owe us $2 million. And I'm like, if they're saying you owe $2 million in state lawsuit or state taxes, the IRS is going to be like,
how much do you owe us?
That's going to be the downfall of the whole thing is the IRS.
Oh, and then the poor clients.
The clients have gotten absolutely screwed.
Yeah, they're going to be at the complete bottom of all of this.
Right? That's the hardest thing about bankruptcy is like when you look at bankruptcy, you're like the legal way that it shakes out and like the moral way that it should shake out are so different. Yeah. And that's really hard to watch. A lot of the clients are never, it's a catastrophic plaintiff's tort. These are people who are already injured. They trusted this fancy big name attorney. They might have seen his wife on TV, and the money's gone.
Yeah.
And she's still on TV with the Jaguar, like the Cartier Jaguar ring that cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the earrings are leaving soon, because now in the show this season, we're almost up in time to where the trustee takes the earrings. So we've seen the earrings all season. The earrings are fixing to disappear real quick. So
Wow.
waiting for that to happen.
Wow. So I don't watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Does the audience watch as a love to hate type of thing? Are they like rooting for her? Are they like, get this evil wench out of here? Like, what is the vibe towards her as a castmate?
Brie, I would love your thoughts if you have any.
I haven't watched Beverly Hills in so many seasons, so I really couldn't give you feedback on that because I'm not watching it anymore. But from my own perspective, Erika used to be one of my favorite housewives. And then when I went through the complaint live reacting on my own channel, I'm like, she's no longer one of my favorites. So I can only imagine what people that are still watching probably think, especially if they have been watching all the way since the beginning. And Erika's personality, I think with the Real Housewives, it's hard to like her, but to me, I like her because she's so straightforward. But some people see her what they would describe on the show as cold, and she's been called cold so many times. So I really don't know. I liked her, but I don't know if a lot of people liked her as a housewife.
I think the audience has turned a bit, but everyone's watching. It's had the best ratings. It's had the most reunions, not reunions. Yes, reunions. They had a 4-part reunion because they were questioning her. You've got
4-part reunion.
4 parts. You've got Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Jen Shaw recently pled guilty to wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. She's alleged to have done the thing herself. And the audience has not turned on her nearly as hard as people have turned on Erika. But Erika's also been on social media, not taking this seriously. At one point, she was on social media fighting with the attorney who was the former special prosecutor in the bankruptcy. They're fighting on Twitter. It's just been so messy. It's been a mess. He came for her, so I understand why she clapped back. But it's been a mess. And then on the show, she's saying things like, well, we don't even know if these people are missing money. Erika, honey, no. A lot of these clients, they have already litigated that they're owed money. Don't.
I see the dynamic. From what you described, she's Marie Antoinette, right? So, it's not like she's King Louis and actually making the decisions.
I didn't do it.
Causing the people to starve, but she's like, let them eat cake. Who knows if they've really lost any money? They were going to be poor anyway. This money is better used on me.
Basically.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more about widows and orphans is kind of where she's at. And that's been hard to watch on the show, but people are still tuning in because, again, you've got this really strange dynamic where you watch it play out in the world and then you watch it play out on the show, and it's bananas. Oh, I'm getting feedback again. I don't know where I'm getting feedback from. Yep, Brie, I think it's you. If you just muted. Hello. Yep. Sorry, I don't know. Is it going through your headphones? Because it's coming through your speakers too. I would double check because it's coming through your speakers too. Thanks, Brie. So, Natalie, that's what's going on with Tom Girardi.
I have learned a lot. I've been disturbed and disgusted. So thank you for that.
Bananas. It's years away from being done. It is really, there's already been a documentary about it. There's going to be a movie or a TV show or whatever about it because it really is kind of the most staggering failure, I think, of regulation in our profession that I've seen. I mean, the Murdaugh case came to a head pretty quickly. This did not. This was decades of.
He's 86, right? He didn't just start doing that yesterday. That's been a pattern in practice. That's why they're talking about RICO, right? Probably for many, many years. And before the advent of the internet, he probably got away with it a lot easier because everything was on paper.
And people are afraid of him. And we've seen former clients release voicemails where he's threatening to sue them, and he knows everybody. And he did. He knew, he knows the governor, he knows the sheriff, he knows the police chief. Other attorneys in the area don't want to sue him because of his reputation and how many judges he knows, how well connected he is. It's what we're seeing play out in the Murdaugh case with this good old boys network of lawyers and that protecting people. I mean, we see it in the Girardi case. We see it in the Murdaugh case. We're seeing these kind of structures starting to crumble where people are standing up and saying, no, I don't care who the fuck you are. You can't do that.
Yeah.
We will come for you. And that's, I think the internet age has cracked open a lot of things we might not have ever known.
God, that is so scary. Well, thank you for that. I will never cover this on my channel because it seems like it just seems like there's just too much happening. Like there's no way I could ever catch up. But I'll just stay tuned in to Emily D. Baker. I swear.
And Bree's covering it too.
Okay, and Bree, boss attorney Bree. But every time I would see Girardi on your channel, I'd be like, girl, I don't know what's going on. This is really a mess. It's a lot.
Bree, do you want to talk about what's going on in the Murdaugh case a little bit?
I am not familiar with the
Natalie,
Murdaugh
you're
case.
covering Murdaugh.
I think Natalie was, yeah.
My brain has already stopped. Natalie, do you want to fill Bree? Because Bree, the Murdaugh case ties in. It's got similar elements to the Girardi case, and then some not so similar elements.
It does.
Actually, you know what? I think I've listened to your live stream about it, but it was while I was driving. So not all the way, but I think I got a little bit of a taste of what it is, but I'm happy to listen.
It's a Southern scandal.
It is a Southern scandal, and it's out of the state of my birth, which is South Carolina, which I always say could not tell you a single thing about, but it's out of my birth. So this is Alex Murdaugh, and Alex Murdaugh is the scion of the Murdaugh. It's Murdaugh. It's spelled Murdaugh, but it's Murdaugh. The Murdaugh family, which has a long history in the county in which they exist, in which they are the solicitors of the county, which is just like, the highest prosecutor there, right? Which is interesting because they call solicitors, they call them solicitors in the UK as well. But I think South Carolina is the only place where they call their prosecutor that.
It was so confusing to me that they were solicitors, because I was looking at that. I'm like, so like the DA, right? They're like the district attorney for like 100 years, Bree. Like this family had been again, I'm from Southern California. These kinds of family lineages aren't quite the same in Southern California that they are in South Carolina.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. They go all the way freaking back. They have always been, basically almost always, like 3 or 4 generations, been the solicitors of this county. So that's important for the backdrop of things. So Alex Murdaugh is very, very wealthy because not only he's also in this law firm that's multi-named law firm, and he's, the top named partner, and they, handle a lot of cases, make a lot of money. They're the primary law firm in the area. And then he's got all this family money. And it seems that his wife also had a lot of family money. So one of the first events to happen is that his older son had this really, really good friend of his who was found dead in the middle of the road. And somebody they just said, oh, he'd been run over while he was walking on the road because he ran out of gas. And the kid's mom was like, this is super suspicious. Apparently he went to school with the older Murdaugh son. They were friends, but maybe they were friends, maybe they were a little bit more than that. Some people think that the Murdaughs are somehow involved with that death and that may be a murder. That is still out there and unsolved. Then the Murdaughs' long-term maid, I think she'd been their maid for about 20 years or something like that.
She raised the kids.
Yeah. Super involved in the family. This is a wealthy family's maid. She'd been with them for 20 years, is found injured at the bottom of the stairs. Murdaughs call 911, and they sound super flippant about this woman who's been working for them. Oh yeah, she fell, she hit her head, there's a lot of blood. She's not really saying anything. Like, when are you coming? Like, stop asking me all these questions. They sound very put out by this woman bleeding on their floor. Like, they sound very annoyed by it, right? Okay, so Alex Murdaugh hires an attorney to sue himself as her employer for, basically, if you died on the scene, if you died at your office, for OSHA or whatever, you could sue your employer for the conditions of the office. Like, oh, I have slippery steps. I'm going to hire someone to sue myself. And then he allegedly takes the money
from the settlement that should have gone to her family, because it's really the family that's suing him, but his friend is the attorney. And instead of his friend paying the settlement money to her family, they take the funds onto themselves.
From his insurances. His
Yes.
insurances pay it.
Oh, that's right.
So his
That's
insurances pay it.
That's right.
And then they cut her sons out of it and get someone else to be a representative of the estate who they also know, who's one of the good old boys.
One of the good old boys.
So then the kids, this is what got me on this part, Natalie. The kids didn't have a right to the communication with the lawyer because they weren't the representatives of the estate anymore.
Right.
Like that's some next level shit.
Disgusting. Absolutely horrendous. And the situation in which he dies is super suspicious. Her body has since been ordered to be exhumed since all of this stuff has broken that I'm about to tell you about. You have a question, go. You're about to say something.
Oh, I was just trying to confirm that she did die.
She passed.
I don't know why I have an echo.
I hear the echo too, but now I think it's coming from Natalie because I still hear it.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I don't know what happened.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Do we hear it now? No, I don't hear it with Bree. Bree, go ahead and unmute. I don't know why we got echo all of a sudden, but we had. So
yeah, it's like
now are you
echoing? There's an echo.
Yep.
So it's me.
Yep.
Oh,
I don't know what happened. We were all good.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if it's my headphone is listening and this is listening. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Miguelina, let us know in the chat if you I don't hear it now. All right, let's just keep going. We're gonna work it. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through, y'all. Wow.
So then
we are professionals. We've
got this.
We got this. It's gonna be fine.
I love it. Forget about the echoing. Okay. So then younger son Murdaugh. So there was the older son Murdaugh whose friend died. Buster. Then younger son Murdaugh, right, is boating with his friends underage. They're all under 21, getting drunk as shit, twisted, wasted. And younger son Murdaugh runs aground in the boat. A girl is ejected from the boat. They cannot find her anywhere. And she ends up dead. Other people are injured. The police, when they respond, try to get one of the other boys to say that he was the one that was driving, or boating. I don't know. Navigating.
Boating. Yeah. BUI or BWI. I don't know if it's an under the influence or while intoxicated in South Carolina, but yes, the boating under the influence.
Right. So in the aftermath, it seems, and then Daddy Murdaugh shows up to the police station and starts talking to the kids that were in the boat. Trying to tell them to get their story straight.
Trying to get them all together on the same page.
Comes to find out, the girl is found some days later. She is unfortunately deceased. Sometime after that, son Murdaugh is charged. Son Murdaugh is charged for the death of the young lady, but it took a little while because they were really trying to pin it on one of the young guys.
One of the other kids
that was they were trying to get him to take the fall because a Murdaugh boy couldn't possibly be a boating under the influence manslaughter murderer.
And Murdaugh dad is alleged to have helped provide the alcohol in the civil lawsuits. They are suing Murdaugh dad, and they are suing everybody at the liquor store that was providing these kids with alcohol and everything else. Look, man, driving under the influence, not good. Boating under the influence, not good. Boating under the influence, underage at night in South Carolina. There's a lot of bridges up in there, and they had hit a pylon to a bridge, and that's
what happened.
And I had never been to South Carolina until this past year, and I was like, oh, there's bridges over water everywhere.
Oh yeah, lots of
everywhere.
waterways. Complete insanity. So then Daddy Murdaugh, right, calls 911 sometime after and is like, oh my God, my wife and younger son have been shot. They're out by the horses and they're shot. And the police come out, and younger son Murdaugh, the one who was driving the boat where the girl was ejected and she was killed, has been murdered. His wife has been murdered. And now Murdaugh is getting charged with all of these like financial crime type things, right? And then sometime
there's
after
more.
that, because there's more,
There's more.
someone shoots Murdaugh
In the head.
in the fucking head.
But he doesn't die.
And he calls 911 like, oh my God,
I've been shot.
I'm shot in the head.
I've been shot in the head.
I've been
But
shot in the head.
It gets better. Come to find out, allegedly, this case has not been concluded. Allegedly, Murdaugh hired the guy to shoot him in the head.
Well, the guy said that Murdaugh hired him.
Yeah, yeah. It hasn't been proven.
But it has not been proven in court. It is pending criminal case on the suicide for hire. Because there's a $10 million life insurance policy
that he wanted to give over to his older son.
The only remaining
Murdaugh.
Oh,
well, no, he's got brothers. Daddy Murdaugh has like on his line, there's still Murdaughs, but of his line. You know, the Crusty and Dusty.
Brick's like, wait.
So wait, he tried to get himself killed to give his son the life insurance, or the life insurance from his wife and his other son
to give his remaining son the life insurance. I think he intended to die. I do. I think he intended that the suicide for hire would work and he wouldn't be prosecuted for all this, because the financial crimes were starting to come down. Like everything was narrowing in on him when this happened.
So he was stealing client money. He was stealing client money. So aside from what he did to his housekeeper, his multi-decades long housekeeper, he was doing it to other clients, and the law firm had to kick him out.
The law firm, interestingly enough, were like, we had no idea. We've paid all the clients back, and then they sued him.
Yeah, they
moved fast. The law firm was just like, nope. I don't know how all of a sudden they're like, oh, we found it all. We figured out what it was and we paid all the clients back. But to their credit, when this all hit the news, they rectified it right away. And then they're suing him for the money.
Exactly.
So at least
have been paid.
The clients got paid.
He was stealing their money big time.
And then.
So is he going on trial for civil or for criminal at this point?
Both.
There are now 80.
Settled the one with the sons of Gloria.
He just settled the one over the funds that he stole.
Yeah.
But there are 80 plus criminal charges because he was just indicted for the killing of his wife and son. So there are multiple civil lawsuits going on, and now there's 80 plus criminal charges.
But my real question is this: if he killed his wife and son, why? That's the one I don't understand. I mean, it seemed to me like, you know, he was supposed to have an alibi where he was at his sick dad's bedside. And I was like, that sounds like bullshit, and it probably was. But I don't know. They don't really need to prove motive, but I guess I just don't know the motive for why he would kill his wife and younger son, but then try to kill himself to give money to his older son. Any theories on that?
As everything's closing down, I wonder if they knew more about the housekeeper's death, because they were the two that were there with the housekeeper's death. I just wonder how much was circling in on that. There are rumors, these are rumors that he and the wife were separating. And so in the Murdaugh Murders podcast, they talk about that. So I don't know if the wife, because it is alleged that he lured her there that night that she was shot and that the son were shot. She was not supposed to be there. He asked her to come to their hunting home, their other home with the estates out in the middle of fucking nowhere on acres and acres and acres, of course, where someone's not going to be like, I heard gunshots, what's up? Because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And they were shot with two different guns. It's just some odd stuff, but also the police put out right after it that the public at large didn't need to be concerned. So
No,
It-
isn't that
I-
crazy?
they-
There's no gunman on the loose. It's Alex Murdaugh, and we know it.
we're just not
And
gonna
it was intentional.
we're just not gonna do anything for 2 years about it. But
insane.
it's absolutely wild. So I don't know if they were trying to, if she knew stuff about the housekeeper. I don't know if the housekeeper had found out stuff about the finances. I don't know. Was the housekeeper legitimately a slip and fall? I don't know. It seems odd because the stories don't line up about the housekeeper. It's
Not
just-
at all.
Yeah, that seems sketchy.
It's so, all of it is so bananas. And there are the civil suits, the criminal suits. It's going to be a mess. There's not going to be enough money at the end of it for everybody. He's still trying to run things from jail. I mean, he's caught on very quick. He's calling on other people's numbers, so it's getting hard to track his jail calls. Like, he's figured out the system real quick. He's trading beef sticks and noodles, and he's putting money on other people's books so people can't trace what money's going on in his books. He's got the whole thing.
A natural born criminal.
Yeah, he's got the whole thing down. But
Yeah.
he's a former prosecutor. I mean,
Mhm.
he knows what's up, and he's bragging to his son about working out. And the Murdaugh Murders podcast has a lot of the jail calls because they did a Freedom of Information Act request. And that's when they started figuring out that money was going on other people's books and he was calling with other numbers.
Mm.
Woo! He's doing the most.
He ain't never
Um,
getting out.
No,
Go
never.
ahead, Bree.
Yeah. I'm thinking that maybe he did, or maybe if he killed the mom and the son, I'm wondering if it was because he thought he was going to get insurance money and then he didn't. And then so he then tried to take himself out to help his son get out of his financial issues. It's a lot going on. So I don't even know where to
Because he
start.
owed a lot of money. So
Yeah.
did he think that killing his wife and son
We'll like fix it.
was looking like a murder
Like, get
instead
the
of like,
money.
or like an
Mhm.
outsider murdered them? He could collect on the insurance claim and thereby
And maybe fix it. Maybe
Yeah.
fix the stuff going on with the law firm. I don't know. Maybe fix the other money that got taken. I don't know how you get out of that
That's what
hole.
I
But the other kid,
a little bit of filicide, yeah. Like, you know,
he but he was also trying to pull strings to get his kid back into law school because the Buster had gotten kicked out of law school for cheating.
yeah,
And they were trying to pull strings to get Buster back into law school.
yeah. I mean, he tried to pull strings to keep his son from getting convicted of the
Of
manslaughter.
the BUI.
charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought it was better off if he wasn't here than just to go to jail.
You know what, though? Honestly, we're trying to make sense of a complete nonsense, right? Like, because there
Yeah.
are people that are intelligent, but also, or like clever, but dumb, right? Like, they are
Yeah.
clever, like they figure things out, they make a way out of no way, but the actual reasoning, it's like not happening in there. Like, sir, if you just paid these people,
Like, just
With all
don't.
yeah, just don't like
don't.
just take your 30% and give the people their money. Sure, you won't have 4 houses, but you'll probably still have a mansion. You'll be fine.
And
You know
build
what I'm
up
saying? Like,
to it.
It's just it's so wild. And it's, again, now we're starting to see federal charges for one of the bank representatives that was involved in some of the stuff going on with money going to the wrong accounts. And so we're really seeing the beginning of this, again, this kind of insular old boys club starting
Yeah.
to crumble. And it's hard when they've got so much power, enough power that you're confident that you can get your son killed someone while under the influence, and you're confident enough that nothing's going to happen to you, that you're trying to make sure that somebody else takes the fall for it. Because
Yeah.
who's that other kid anyway?
What does
I
he
mean,
matter?
the absolute fuckery of just being like, that's not going to be my kid. We'll just throw it on one of his friends. Are you kidding? To have that level of confidence
Yep.
and arrogance
Yep.
tells you a lot about what was going on in that community and in that justice system.
There could also
And
be
it's
a more
almost like,
simple
who's
explanation.
gonna believe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I was just saying, it's almost like, who's gonna believe you over the Murdaughs? So you get the
Exactly.
call and,
Exactly.
do your time. Mhm.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get some money out of it. But I was saying that there is probably a more simple explanation for all of these maladies that has befallen the Murdaugh family. And that could just be that they're cursed, because I'm pretty sure they're former slave owners and they might have built their house on an Indian burial ground. And for that reason, they could just be cursed.
Natalie's like, this is my theory. They're cursed.
They're cursed. I said it in my
But
last
she's like, this is
podcast.
karma. This
Yeah,
is just karma.
They're absolutely
And
cursed.
so did all of these things happen like back to back, or has it been like years in between each thing?
This has
So,
been
like,
over a span of like not that many years, like 5
No.
years. This
Let's
has not
say,
been
like,
that long.
No, like I think the young man that was found on the road might have been 2016, 2017, something like that.
Mhm.
2020, I think, might have been the maid, something like that.
Oh, I've got a timeline. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
Great, awesome.
I'll tell you. I'll pull up my timeline, but it's not been that long.
Mm-mm.
And then once the wife and the son were shot, everything kind of started moving a bit faster. And then you get the other charges, because there was drug stuff with prescription pills. It's a mess. It's a mess. But it's like a Girardi mess, but there's also alleged murders, which is a whole nother
He's
thing.
bringing a lot.
Yep.
And it's almost
Steven
like he's
Smith.
very confident.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
He's very confident using other people's phone numbers. It's kind of like he's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get away with it anyways. You're not
It's
gonna
gonna be
catch me
fine.
slipping.
That's how he's always
Oh.
lived his life. He was
But
the same
if he's
spoiled
putting money on
boy.
people's books, they're not gonna mess. They're like, fine, go ahead and put money on my books. It's fine. He's still trying to buy his way out of stuff, even from inside jail.
And his
I think
assets
they
are
would freeze
frozen.
his assets. Oh,
They
I was like,
did.
I think
They
would
are
freeze-
now
Yeah, his assets are frozen.
the ones they know about.
Yeah, he might got some money stashed away in a couch somewhere, and someone comes down to the jail and puts all that money on his books. Because $20 in jail goes a long way.
And he's got it seems like there's family members that are putting money on his books as well.
Yeah.
And
his
that's
brothers are in support of him. Mhm.
yep. So the Stephen Smith was found dead in July 2015. The
Mhm.
boat crash was in February 2019. The housekeeper died in 2019, 2 days after the boat crash. And then the wife and son were killed June 7th, 2021. And now we're here.
It's insane.
I thought if the housekeeper was not an accident, I was thinking maybe she heard something and then she had to have her slip down the stairs because she knew
Ooh,
too
about the
much.
boating accident, you mean?
Yes, if it was 2 days after the boating accident. Yes, maybe she
I think that's the
overheard
best
something.
theory.
It's
That's
it's
the best
wild.
theory.
So we're now at 16 total indictments, 85 total charges. Damn it. 17 indictments, 85 charges, and over 8.4 million alleged to be stolen from victims.
17 indictments for one person is a lot.
I don't know what South Carolina is doing. They're charging things on all different indictments, and they're in all
Yeah.
different counties. I don't know if they'll put them under an umbrella at some point, but they're charged
Yeah.
all over the place. Everybody's like, it sounds like a movie. It will be. And
Yeah.
I can't say enough. The Murdaugh Murders podcast with Mandy Matney has been my favorite on this. She has been an advocate for the victims and the clients in this. She has gone above and beyond going through the jail calls and putting those on air, and has really been kind of a on the ground South Carolina journalist who has really been great in her coverage. So if you guys are like, I need to know more about this story, that's the podcast that I've liked the best on it, because it's the most interesting. I see in the chat they're asking, yeah, it's great. What does indictment mean? Indictment is just the charging document, the criminal charging document after a grand jury. So we should go on, because I don't know about the pastor and I really want to know. And then we've got to get to questions. I don't know. I keep seeing it. I keep seeing it on your channel, Natalie. Bree, have you covered this too?
I did cover it.
And I haven't had a chance to catch up yet, but I have been sick all week and binge watching TV.
Okay.
I made notes. So
Yeah, you can do the notes because mine will probably not be as, flowing as your Alex Murdaugh was. So you should do the notes. And then I also covered his other case. Not only was he faked robbed, but he's also being sued for allegedly taking someone's retirement.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
So
I covered that too. No, Bree, I ran my mouth so much, and while you're doing the summary, I'm gonna step away real quick. So Bree, you go right for it. I'll be right back, guys.
Perfect.
okay, so basically there's this pastor that I'm not too familiar with him, but it seems like he's pretty popular on social media, or maybe not popular. People judge him a lot because he always has flashy things like flashy cars, flashy jewelry, and all of the things. So a few weeks ago, he was doing a live stream of his church service, and some people, robbers, came into the church service and allegedly robbed him of $1 million worth of jewelry. Now, he's a pastor.
Wait, he's wearing $1
supposed to be a
million
bishop
worth of jewelry, giving
during
a
his
sermon that's being streamed online.
that is being streamed online. So he has on $1 million worth of jewelry. And when the people come in, I wish you could see the video. You could probably see the video, but when the robbers come in, somehow the camera shifts to where he's no longer in the frame. And as soon as the robbers come in, they're moving very slow. They're moving very calm. He lays down on the floor, and then you just see each of them going up to him and leaving, up to him and leaving. And they're not running. They're just walking, maybe a little briskly. And there's this guy in the corner of the video that's just staring at them like,
Wait,
hey.
his congregation's there?
The congregation is there.
And
he's
nobody's
the only
like,
one-
stop.
No. They're just slowly taking this $1 million worth of jewelry. And then as they walk out, because they walked out, he then starts to chase after them and said that he saw them changing their clothes while they were in the car. Now, the issue that a lot of people are having is that all of a sudden, you can't see the pastor anymore in the frame, and he's laying down, getting the jewelry taken from him. No one in the congregation tries to stop these, I would say, kids. I didn't see any weapons, but maybe they did have weapons, but I did not see any weapons. They were just like I would describe them as like skinny teenagers. I think the congregation could have stopped them. And then the one that sticks with me the most is there was this guy, he was just sitting there watching them. He didn't look afraid. He was just watching them and watched them walk in and watched them walk out. And so a lot of people are saying that it's staged. Why would he be wearing a $1 million worth of jewelry? Why does he have $1 million worth of jewelry as a bishop? And apparently, apparently he had originally set his church up as a for-profit organization. So a lot of people are thinking he's doing his church for profit. And after the robbery, he got on the internet saying, people judge me for having all this flashy stuff and that I shouldn't be having that much jewelry anyways, but I like that kind of stuff. So he's not even denying the fact that he has all of this extravagant things, and he shouldn't have been wearing it during the sermon. But a lot of people assume that he has been able to afford all of the jewelry because of the money that he gets from the church.
Because of the for-profit church.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's for profit now, but I know that when he originally set it up, it was a for-profit organization.
Okay. Was anyone arrested?
I haven't looked into that part of it because my stream kind of got taken over about the other lawsuit against him.
So what's the other lawsuit against him?
So there was a lady who had got in contact with him. Apparently he helped the bishop helped her son get a house. And so he said that he was also help her get a house and to give him some money out of her retirement account. And so when she kind of started working with him, he would get on the phone call with the banks with her and then tell them to transfer some odd money into her account. So she ended up transferring $100,000 of her retirement account, I think of like an investment account. And he told her basically, or he had realtors and other bank people telling her that her credit score was too bad and to help her get a house, so that she should give him $100,000 and that he would use that money to invest in a property for her, repair it for her, and then give her the leftover money. Mind you,
Like when
this
Girardi
is
was
in New
telling his
Jersey.
clients, I know how to handle money. Let me handle money for you. Like I'll just give you payments every month instead of like structuring a payment through a company that actually does that. He was like, no, I'll just hold that money for you and give you a bit.
Exactly. So he was
Yikes.
investing in a property for her in New Jersey, $100,000. I don't know
Wait,
the real
where's he
estate market
located?
in New Jersey.
Where's
This
he
is
located?
I don't. They're in New Jersey as far as the house
His
goes.
church is in Brooklyn. His church
Okay.
is in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And he said, but a lot of people that live in the boroughs buy out in Jersey because it's just a bit more affordable. So did you tell her what he did with the money actually per the lawsuit?
Not
We haven't
yet. I
gotten there
haven't
yet.
got
But
there
the
yet.
let me shut
chat
up.
very
Let me
much
shut
wants
up.
to know what you're
I'm
eating,
enjoying my
Natalie.
yogurt, and I'm
Okay.
gonna go back.
The chat wanted to know what you were eating, so I'm glad we clarified.
This is yogurt with almond butter and blueberries, and it is delicious. Okay.
That sounds good.
I know, right? You're making me hungry. Oh, because we've been streaming a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so
he's like, let me hold $100,000. I'll invest it in a property for you. I'm gonna buy you a house with it, whatever.
Yeah, and he also said he was going to renovate it and give her the rest of the money back because her credit was too bad. So she ends up agreeing with no contract, no written contract, and she transfers $90,000 over to him to his.
Do not give people money
without
unless
a
you're
contract.
willing for that money to be gone. If you're doing a GoFundMe, your money's got good, give it. If you're giving money to charity, good, give it. But if you think you are getting something back and you do not have a contract, do not give anyone your money. I don't care if they're related to you. Do not give anyone. No. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Yep,
I'm getting red.
Contract. Yep. No.
Because again, position of trust, like everybody we've talked about tonight, position of trust. You know, lawyers are in a position of trust. Spiritual leaders are in a position of trust. It's like that level of conning somebody, if that's what's happening here, which it sounds like what's being alleged, when you're in that position of trust, it just hurts so much more. It's so anyway, keep going. Sorry, Brie.
Oh, it gets worse. So she transferred the $90,000 for him to get the house for her. And then time goes by. She's asking him, hey, what's going on with the money? What's going on with the money? And he says, oh, we're still, looking for a house, whatever it might be. She texts him and it's like, this is what you're supposed to do with the money. So she's trying to use that as the contract because he basically confirmed like, yeah, you are entitled to the money. But then he goes on to run for some government position. I can't remember exactly what, but he started running for a government position.
Wait, what in the Tiger King is happening? He's like in the middle of some shit. He's like, I'm just going to run for governor. What?
Yeah. He ran for borough president, which is like mayor of Brooklyn, basically.
Yes. And so during that time, she then asked about her money again. And he said, well, you know what? It was actually a donation to my campaign instead of an investment into the house. So now we're into the campaign donation that was never approved.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Oh, but once you fuck around with campaign donations, there's some other laws that come into play, which is an interesting turnabout because if he really put the money into his campaign, then that's interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. And I forgot to mention when he talked her into giving him the $90,000, he said he would then pay her $100 a month in order to live. I don't know what kind of math she was doing, but $100 a month versus $90,000, it just doesn't add up. So
no, and if it came out of her retirement account, there's other financial implications. Okay.
Yeah. And so he paid her, I believe, one payment of the $100. Okay. So
I like the one payment because maybe then you have performance on the contract. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Consideration. And so he goes for the campaign. Now she's starting to get annoyed and kind of try to get her money back because she knows she didn't give it to him for a campaign.
Right.
And then he turns around and he buys a $4 million house for himself that he lives in.
And that is the point that I got angry.
And so This was supposed the 90,000 was
what-
supposed to invest for her. A house for her, not a house for him, but a house for her.
No. And then he turns around and buys himself a $4 million house. He says, thank you for the campaign donation. And then turns around and buys himself a house.
Yes. And on my channel, I went through the pictures of the house because I found it on Zillow. It has
It's an estate.
It's an estate. It's a mansion. I mean, obviously.
The chat is saying pledge versus donate.
Oh, yeah.
And they're also saying this is a palatial estate.
Yes. It was.
Thank you, Tanya.
It had a huge wine cellar that looked like Batman's dungeon or something like that. It's like terrifying looking. All these different bars in different locations, like a garage with a bar and a pool with a bar. And I'm like, for a man of God, you sure are drinking a lot of alcohol, you know?
I mean, and wearing a lot of jewelry. Is the jewelry insured? Was anyone arrested? Like, what's with the $1 million in jewelry?
Well, that was some of the speculation, is that he was getting robbed so that he can then get the insurance money. But I'm not too sure about whether.
Yeah, well, Tom and Erika Girardi have had multiple robberies as well that never got reported to police, and a pair of earrings went missing, and then insurance replaced the pair of earrings, and then there was another pair of earrings. Like, there's been things that have been taken.
Interesting. Well,
that as well.
So, you know, I always have my theories, my tinfoil hat theories. And I always make sure I, you know, explicitly say these are just my theories. They don't mean anything. But, you know, he owed a lot of money, not only to this lady, but to other people. He has a lot of debt. There is this movie, I think it's called First Sunday, but I could be wrong, where it's like a BET type of movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a mostly Black cast. It's pretty low budget. And in one of the scenes of the movie, the pastor is robbed during the church service, right? And it's supposed to be completely hyperbolic because no one would ever rob a pastor actively in the church service, right? And so people think that that's where he got the motivation from. It's on live stream, so everyone can see it. It's evidence that it happened. These guys come in, they are wearing masks, right? The guy lays down right away. He's like, okay, you know, and that's fine. But there's a guy sitting behind the
He
pastor.
doesn't try to save them when they come in. I mean, he just lays down. What is happening?
He just lays down and they just take his stuff and then they go, and it's just between him and his wife. They don't rummage through the pockets of any of the parishioners. They're bold enough to rob a church. They don't rummage through anyone else's pocket.
They're not looking for the donation. Like,
no, they're not. They don't go to the collection plate. Nothing.
Just for the jewelry.
They don't take the phone, the iPad, the iPhone. And somebody was like, oh, you can't break into Apple products. Excuse me. I represent people who are accused of robberies all the time. Apple products are stolen in robberies every single day. No one sees an iPhone and is like, oh, we can't break into this because of their great security program. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the phone is sitting there recording everything. You've got the iPad that he's doing the sermon from. You've got him wearing all this jewelry, and they don't take anything else but the jewelry off of him. Give me a break. Give me a break.
I mean, if you're going into the church and nobody's getting up, it's odd that you're not at least not going for a collection plate.
Yeah.
Not asking a few people, give me your purse.
At all. And there was multiple robbers, and they just went one at a time up to the pastor.
Yeah. They like took turns going to the pastor, going through his pockets, taking off his jewelry, taking the wife's jewelry. To this day, he maintains that he's a genuine victim, but he appeared on his show, and I think the guy's name is Larry Reed. I could be wrong, but it's not obviously the Larry Reed because he is no longer with us, but he appeared on this guy's show, a Facebook show. And, you know, they were talking about people's skepticism as to the claims. He proceeded to defend himself by being fatphobic and homophobic to the hosts of the show, calling the woman that was questioning him Biggie, telling her she needs to stop eating, saying that being the host, the main host, the man is gay, that, you know, it's a sin, and called him the F word and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, that's just not the way that you behave as a man of the cloth. who's been genuinely robbed in the middle of service on TV. I just don't, or on live stream. I don't believe you. That level of defensiveness, instead of treating it with, kind of like the serious gravitas that, he did say, my family could have been injured. And they were just like, okay, well, we're sorry that you're upset about it. And then he proceeds to call them every single name in the book. So I have no sympathy for him. I don't believe him. It just is what it is.
No, but yikes. Like,
Pastor Smollett, right?
I've never seen. Wait, his name's also Smollett?
No, someone called him Pastor.
Oh.
His name is
I was
Lamar.
like, wait, no.
Whitehead. Lamar Whitehead. Lamor Whitehead is his name.
I've seen a lot of videos of crime. I've never seen anyone take turns in a robbery.
Nope.
No.
I've never seen anyone bypass the parish. Like, okay, so you're coming to rob a store and you've got a whole crew. If it's just one guy, of course, you're just going to go for the register and get the heck up out of there. If you've got a crew of 3 or 4 people, right, you're tagging everybody. Every single one of you is armed. No one can resist. They're not selective robbers, okay?
No. You're taking purses, you're taking watches,
yes,
you're taking phones.
They're taking everything.
And if anything is streaming, like if it looked like things were set up, you're taking it down.
Yeah, the evidence.
Because I don't
they walked right
by
it.
They walked right by it. Even with a mask on, I don't care who you are. Everybody's mama knows them. No one wants to risk their mama seeing them on live stream robbing a church, but they walk right past it, in plain view. And then they make sure the pastor is just out of view, but you can see the robbers reaching into and grabbing his stuff. Give me a break.
That's so strange. The chat is also asking if you'll talk about Darius Cooks. I know nothing about Darius Cooks.
Okay.
I saw that face, chat. I saw that face.
I absolutely will talk about Darius Cooks. Can I share something with you to maybe share with them? Is that possible?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm going to try my best. Okay. I'm going to do it like this. One moment, please.
You can. What do you want to share?
It is a video that is one of my tweets.
Okay.
And I think what I'll do is if I copy the tweet link,
you can DM it to me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm about to do right now. I'm just waiting for my computer to not be so slow. It's just being really, really slow loading. Every single tweet is loading very, very slowly. Okay, we're almost there. Okay. Here we go.
No worries.
Okay, here we go. Almost there. I love to give you dead air on your channel.
It's perfect.
You're welcome.
We're here for it. Wow.
Exactly what you wanted.
The chat is ready. The chat is ready. The chat is like, I'm here for it. Like, look, we've been streaming 2.5 hours. It's okay to have 4 seconds where I'm not interrupting or talking over you guys. It's fine.
Okay. So how do I do this? I don't want to pin it to my profile. Embed tweet. Oh, embed tweet. That's how you do it, right? Yes.
You can just copy the link to the tweet if you want.
Okay. I think
there should be a link at the bottom on the 3 little dots.
Yeah, so I'm hitting the 3 little dots. This should do it. If it doesn't, I'm the worst. It's always me.
You're not the worst. You've got it. We're gonna look at a few super chats while we're doing this.
Okay.
So DM it to me while you're doing that. In the words of the 3 Musketeers, is he a man of God or a man of gold?
Definitely man of gold.
Maybe a man of gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a man of the drip.
The pastor's statements before he lays down is so questionable. It's like he knew they took it from him and his wife, so should watch the video. Okay, I will watch the video. Have you broken down the video on your channel, Natalie?
I have.
Okay, there we go. All right, let me pull up this tweet and we will roll into it. Do we need any prefacing or are we just watching this first?
I want you to watch that, and then I will, because I just think it's a good way to start the whole thing, right? And it's fast.
Okay.
It's not long at all.
All right.
It's maybe
Let
a
me
minute.
get my screen share going. Because, we are professionals here.
I wish
And
StreamYard would make that a bit more streamlined. But
it's I use the share screen too, so it makes it
Mhm.
a little hard. And then whenever I go to Twitter, I want to make sure I have not like done something wrong, exposed my DMs or some
Yeah, same.
or
Same.
some mess. Like I'm always worried I'm going to mess something up.
Mhm.
Because, not that I'm not even worried. There's nothing in my DMs that are scandalous. I don't need everyone knowing who I'm having conversations with. I feel weird about
There's
it.
that.
It
Oh
makes
yeah,
me
I
feel
can't
weird.
believe you spoke to so and so. They're the worst person
It just makes
ever.
me feel
How
weird.
could you ever associate with that person?
Exactly. So, all right, let's see if all right, let's try to make this bigger. How's that look?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh, I'm hearing echoes. Nope,
I'm
that's
gonna
the
mute-
wrong Twitter.
That's definitely DMs.
That's definitely DMs.
I'm sorry.
That's it's
I
the
mean,
wrong screen share.
I can share it.
No, I got it. Hold on.
Avoiding.
That's exactly what I was trying to
Yeah, I
avoid.
was like,
It's
oh
fine.
no.
That's what we did. We're professionals here, people.
Yes, people. It's
Hogue
okay.
and I were just chatting. The ladies and I were also just chatting. Let's
Don't
see.
be alarmed.
Exactly. This is the wrong stream. I have multiple screens, and this is what caused the problem. Hold on. Because that's
You
not what
make
I
me feel so much better because this is me every single stream.
Look, it happens. And I pulled up to the wrong screen, and that's what happens. Because I had that up because I was looking for this in the DMs and not in the private chat in the stream.
Oh, you
Share
said to
screen.
DM me on.
No, it's
I-
okay. We've got
okay.
it. That's why I was there. I was looking for something else. Let me make sure I've got the right
No, why are you crying?
screen. Why is this not doing it?
It's
It does
okay.
not want to pull up my screen. Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm having a really hard time pulling up the screen. So give me 1 second.
Okay, I could share, or we could just move on. I could just tell you.
No,
about Darius.
start telling me. I'm going to get this worked out because I'm annoyed that I can't. And now I've got to fix it
Okay.
because I don't know why it
so
won't let me share screen.
While that is happening, this is
Sorry.
Susie. This is Susie. She's
Hi,
19
Susie.
years old. She's very, very elderly and very, very ornery. Okay.
We love that.
I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. How dare me? Okay, so Darius Cooks, aka Darius Williams, I guess the Cooks is his aka, is a social media chef who rose to fame on social media for his eye-catching videos and recipes and things like that. And he has a very insular audience of supporters who call themselves the D Hives. Most of his supporters are my age and up, Black women who are just very, very protective of him. He has this very intense social media following that is not humongous, but is very passionate and dedicated. So aside from doing cooking tutorials online, he also does this thing called Dining with Darius, where they dine at Airbnbs, and he and whoever he has hired will cook, multi-course meals for these people that have paid for this experience. It costs between $200 and $300 for this experience.
So this is like a fan experience.
A fan experience with food. A fan experience with food. He also sells cookbooks. He also at one point owned 2 restaurants. Those restaurants have gone, kaput since then. Many of his business ventures have gone kaput, like his credit repair business that he was illegally running out of the state of Georgia, where he had to pay $140-something thousand to the state of Georgia for running an illegal credit repair company.
Yeah, there's regulations.
Yeah. And it's illegal to do credit repair in Georgia. And he was not following the regulations where it was legal to even do it when he was doing it in other states. That company was called Above 701. It is now defunct. He also ran a cupcake company in which he allegedly defrauded multiple investors and then fled the state of Illinois after doing so. He also allegedly ran this pie company in which he did the same. He also did this kind of like
affiliate program where people would buy his box cake set, and then they would make cakes, and then they would mail it out of their homes under his name, kind of like franchising, but baking cakes in your own home. And
Okay.
that ended up being a problem. He had the Carolina
Who could have
Pound
seen
Cake.
that going wrong?
Yeah, exactly. He had the Carolina Pound Cake Company, for which people would order cakes and not receive their cakes. People would order his cookware and glassware sets and not receive his cookware and glassware sets. So there is a woman online who is also a social media chef, social media personality, and her name is the Kitchenista. And it was because of her that I first became, so I always, give credit to where I get information from.
Yep.
She began this online campaign. Maybe began isn't the right. She amplified this online campaign that was called #Darius Cooks. And it was a bunch of people that were sharing their experiences of being allegedly ripped off by this so-called celebrity chef.
Right.
The worst part about it was that if people would complain about not receiving their cookbooks or getting moldy cakes, that was a thing that would happen when he would do the cake delivery. If they would complain about that, or not getting paid by him, or him shutting down the business, but having them come into work and not telling them that this evening we're closing down and you will no longer have a job. Oh, let me not forget that he also allegedly assaulted one of his employees who worked at one of his restaurants in Georgia. And there was a picture of him being led away in handcuffs. Nothing ever came from that. Multiple people suing him dodging service, and then paying at the very last minute when a default judgment is entered, or right before a default judgment can be entered, owing millions of dollars for the restaurant that he opened, and then just left and did not finish paying on the lease. And he was a sublessee. And so he left the person that he leased from
hanging.
Because, he just left them hanging. So he's been sued for that. He recently settled that case. So it's a lot of him like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and, promising services that are not happening. And so, there's all these grievances that build, and then people would try to complain about him online, because if you went through, he has no customer service. It's just him. He doesn't want to hire anyone. He does not want any, he says that, I don't want to hire anybody to do customer service. That's my job. I do everything. Nobody else. Me. So if they would go to him to try to get recourse, he would block them. That's the only way you can get in contact with him.
On social media?
On social media. There's
and
no
people
other.
Be like, hey, what's good? Be like, block.
He has an F rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Yikes.
So when people would try to complain about him, he would dox them, which, for those of you not familiar, many of you should be, he would share their personal information online. For example, I interviewed one of his former employees by the name of Palma from the Carolina Pound Cake Company. She was his head baker, and he attempted to steal her scales when she tried to leave, when she could see that this was not going well. She could see that things were not up to par, that there were health concerns there, that he didn't have real health ratings in his bakery, from which he was mailing out these cakes, these pound cakes in the mail, putting them in just regular USPS boxes, no refrigeration, and just mailing them out to people that, he hadn't been health inspected. It was basically an illegal bakery. She called it the Trap Bakery. When she complained about it, because he was,
funny.
doing all these things and she couldn't seek any other recourse, he shared her social security number and address on social media.
Oh my God. Because she had been an employee.
He had all her information and
oh my God.
Put up her I've paid her, putting all of her social media information. Another young lady who was a former friend of his, who asked him not to be so rude to his customers. I interviewed her as well. He doxed her, shared her personal information, and she received death threats from some of his supporters. His supporters can be quite rabid, and I'm not, exaggerating when I say
weaponizing a community is it's just so appalling, and doxing people, like doxing people, is so beyond the pale, and it's just
yes. So he also, a young lady was also, along with the Kitchenista, amplifying the voices of the people that were filing complaints on him and trying to get recourse online. And he found out who she was and posted her children's pictures on social media and telling people
I know where you live. Don't you live in Macomb, Michigan? Don't you live in this particular place?
That's awful.
And when people said, okay, well, posting her kids is going too far, F them kids, was his response to that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That phrase is supposed to be used as a joke, not as like
joke,
really
not to literally harm children. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So I interviewed all these people, including the kitchenista, including Don Vaughn and Danielle Holland, who were the parents who had their children doxxed by Darius Cooks. I interviewed a woman by the name of Mel, who asked him not to be so rude to his followers. He in turn doxed her, and then her parents were threatened. He tried to take out a protective order against her recently and lost that protective order as of 2 days ago.
He tried to take out a protective order against someone he had doxed?
Yeah, against someone he had doxed some years ago. Now, let me be fair. She was trying to have him served for defamation of character. She happened to be across the street from where he was, and she approached him. She should never have done that. She didn't do anything to him. She approached him. She filmed him. She took photos of him because she's trying to get this guy served. That's it. Nothing else happened. That is not harassment, right? Unless you repeatedly follow somebody after being told to stop. He then proceeded to use it as a marketing mechanism that this woman took some pictures of him out in public and say, oh, she's crazy. Look at this crazy lady. And use her name as a discount code. He did the same thing to the kitchenista, used the kitchenista's copyright as a discount code for his cookbooks. So he crosses all types of lines in the legal world. And I've interviewed a lot of people. I've given him the opportunity to be interviewed. He said absolutely not. And so in that video, when he was reacting to the fact that he just lost his case against Mel, who I interviewed, that video is what.
Okay, and that video I can pull up now.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Look, the timing worked out perfectly. Ta-da! Awesome. Y'all don't be scandalized that Hogue Law and I talk in the DMs, as do the three of us. It's not scandalous. Let me know if you hold on. Let me know if y'all can hear it. Let's make this big.
Let me mute myself just in case.
This looks like it's coming from an Instagram live or a YouTube live on a mobile. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead. This is from Natalie Lawyer Chick's Twitter. If you guys want to go see the source material, and let's go. Hopefully you can hear. Hey, we know her.
I can't hear
it.
Can't hear.
Wait, did you guys say you can't hear it?
No.
Okay, hold on. You guys might need to mute yourself so I can get this audio out. Okay, let's make sure. Otherwise, we might get feedback.
There was a woman on Twitter by the name of Natalie Lawyer Chick. She is clearly against me. She hates my guts. If you Google her, she is a licensed, she's a real lawyer, right? So what happened, and I didn't know she was that against me. It wasn't until my best friend told me, why the fuck would you do that? That woman hates you. I didn't know. So I wanted to debunk this idea of evading service because everybody kept saying he's evading service. So I get on Twitter and I tell Natalie exactly where I was. 1948 Northside Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. I was there for dining with Darius Cooks. You might remember this. Well, guess who shows up at the door? It wasn't a process server. It was Randy Travis from Fox 5 that had been contacted by Melanie's Ford to do a story on doxing, which gave him his numbers. Then the follow-up story was serving alcohol at Dining with Darius Cooks, and then that's been the only story so far. So what I did do was I left that house in 1940 Northside Drive, went to Cobb County to do the thing. That was it was like the 19th, I want to say, 1920, around when I was doing Dining with Darius Cooks in Atlanta. So
we're almost out.
Here's what happened. So I go to the court, I fill out the paperwork,
and that's what we've got. So
I did a Twitter thread. In which I was like, I've done this series on Darius Cooks. I have, where I have interviewed multiple players in this situation, multiple people that are involved.
And I said, you know, this situation is still popping off. If you have any questions as to why this is happening, check out my videos. And then I shared some information about his active lawsuits and where he wasn't paying and stuff like that. And I said he is really harming the community. And he finds me. I didn't tag him. I didn't at him. He finds me. And he says, since you're saying I'm dodging service, I'm going to give you my address of where I'm going to be this weekend, and you can have me serve for whatever lawsuit that you have against me. I said, I don't have a lawsuit against you. I don't know what you're talking about, right? He sends me the address, and I send it right on over to Randy Travis at Fox 5. I send him all of my videos, and I was like, this is a story that you guys are missing out on. This guy is harming his community and ripping his people off. Please ask him why. So Randy Travis went out to his Airbnb, in which he was illegally hosting these large parties that you're not supposed to
you
be
can't
doing
hear. You cannot do at Airbnb.
Nope.
Like, yeah, you can't host events at an Airbnb. You have to have event hosting requires like insurance and okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
40 to 50 people crammed into someone's house. Sometimes he's doing commercial cooking in residential kitchens. At one point, he had blown out all of their electricity, destroyed their stove and their washer, not the washer and dryer, the dishwasher. And then they kicked him out of the house, and he was refusing to leave. So they had to call the police to come and get him out of the house.
I mean, this is like content creator on kind of another level. I don't understand the content creator like to doxing pipeline, but this isn't the first content creator we've seen it with that's like, oh, I'm mad, I'm going to dox somebody. And I mean, we see that in the online space. It's another thing that I wish it was taken more seriously, because it's so dangerous and such a waste of resources, but also so dangerous. And it's so hard to prosecute, and it's very hard. Police will take it seriously when they roll out and grab you out of your house and put you in handcuffs. But after that, they're like, oh, bye. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's just doxing is such fuckery. Really. There's nothing else to call it. But
it's insidious. It's insidious.
It really is in the online space.
Like, look, this is a business I don't agree with. I'm going to boycott them. That's fine. Hey guys, boycott this business. That's a form of protest. Exposing people, but then to say, I don't like this business, so I'm going to expose the CEO's personal address, and we're going to show up at the CEO's house, right? No. And we're going to call their kid's school.
Yep.
And we're going to threaten their wife. That's going too far. That's too much. And that's a lot of and it's just criticism. And I will say this again and again and again and again. There's another creator named I Am Vel B, who I previously interviewed in this series. He is an ex of Darius's, but most importantly, he is an ex-business partner of Darius. And Darius ripped him off of allegedly $10,000 to start his cupcake venture and never paid that money back. It just took his money and ran with it. And he has his own channel in which he exposes the things from his personal perspective. I do it from the legal perspective. So I am not the only content creator who is trying to bring awareness to this, but it is my passion project. It's like the thing that's near and dear to my heart, because one less person to buy some bootleg ass cookware, crock pots that freaking explode while he is filming videos. He sells crock pots that are defective and dented.
He's selling crock pots?
He's selling crock pots that he got for Alibaba and sticks a sticker on, and they're dented.
Not Alibaba.
And moldy cakes.
Does he also have a pink sauce?
Well, that's
Not
what
yet.
I was gonna say. It's crazy how not even just food makers, but people get on the internet and you become kind of like this personality on the internet, and you get upset when people judge you if you're doing something wrong. It's like you put yourself out there. You have to be able to take that criticism without going after them. And this, like, a lot of these food creators are starting to make these sauces and foods and put it in the mail, and they don't even have the right qualifications to be doing that. Like, are you a chef? Do you not know the rules? What's going on here? So it's crazy how a lot of it is like popping up now.
Being in business has rules.
Thank you.
It just there's rules, there's regulations. Everything has rules and regulations. A lot of it's our government's just like, hey, we're going to make sure we hit you on that sales tax. But
That's
there
right.
are rules for literally everything you do. It's just bananas to me that people are like, oh, I'll just ship food in the mail. It's going to be totally fine. No, there's rules depending on what state you're in, what state you're shipping to.
Yep.
Whole cakes. Whole
Yep.
cakes with no
Whole
insulation.
cakes. No insulation, no refrigeration. One girl live reacted, oh, she's a big fan, and bought his pound cake. This is the thing that drove me so crazy. I'm sorry, but it's just
No, I want to hear it. Like
So
this is
layered.
your passion project. Look,
Right,
man,
my passion.
you're
It is
like,
my
I'm not
passion.
an investigative reporter, but you're out here being a whole ass investigative reporter. You're like, I'm going to talk to the people. I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Yes.
We're going to just bring some sense.
So he's selling these cakes out of this trap kitchen that is completely just unsanitary, you know, whatever the case may be. And instead of setting them in like correct, you know, insulated things with refrigeration and stuff, he just wraps them in plastic wrap, puts them in the 5-day shipping box, and sends them in the mail. Just raw cake. Just raw cake and cardboard and a prayer, you know? So this girl orders one of these, big fan, for Thanksgiving. For the family, for things. And you know the dynamic of this? She's the younger girl in the family. You know, the older aunties and grandmas and stuff are probably like, let's make a sweet potato pie and call it a day. But she's like, no, there's a celebrity chef that I love. I'm going to order one of his cakes.
It's like her cake boss moment. She's like ready for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's going out on a limb here. The Thanksgiving dessert is so
It's a
important.
big deal. You can't mess this up.
You can't mess it up.
Yeah. You're
So
never
on
going to be
the
allowed to bring food
website,
again.
They show you this delicious looking bundt cake with like all these toppings and like, I think it was supposed to be pineapple upside down. So pineapple and glaze and whipped cream. And I'm like, well, damn, how are you going to send that in a box? I don't know. They just send the cake in a little tiny plastic container with a little tiny bit of glaze. And when she gets the cake, it's already open. It's the plastic is already open. So she takes it out and you can see the little holes in it from it being dry. You know what I'm talking about? Like when a cake is like, it's like dry, it's spongy, you know? Why did that girl taste that cake?
Oh no.
Don't eat it.
It's
No.
still here on YouTube. I was like, the minute the plastic is open, you shouldn't eat it. When you see it's not refrigerated, you shouldn't eat it. But either way you look at it, I order protein bars in the mail. They send them with little, they're protein bars. They come in little packages, individual, but they still have a little ice thing in there to keep it cool, you know, because anything can happen during shipping. And she tasted it and she was like, oh, this is bad. And she had to supply her own pineapples to put on it. By the time you have to get your own pineapples, your own whipped cream, you have to make additional glaze because the glaze.
Go to the store.
Just go to the store, girl.
And wasn't the cake like $50?
Yes. It's nothing is cheap. Nothing is just like for this. Okay, so the dining with Darius experience, it is Kool-Aid sangria. I am not making that up. Sangria made with Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid sangria.
I'm sitting here going, it might be good. I could see where that might be good.
You can do it.
I mean, it's maybe not sangria. That's just punch at that point. Like when you're in college and you're like, we got some leftovers.
We call that jungle juice.
Jungle juice.
We don't call that Kool-Aid sangria. That's jungle juice. And he serves it.
Ghetto.
Ghetto as shit. He serves it out of a huge Tupperware container. You know the big Tupperware that all the little Tupperwares go into? And they were scooping it with a cup, like their hand going into it, scooping it with a cup. They spent over $200 for this experience.
Stop it.
Just for the Kool-Aid.
Well, no, there's food. Oh, there's food.
Oh, okay.
But not even to have like a punch bowl and a ladle and
not a punch bowl. Yeah, you're lucky if there's tablecloths on the table. There probably won't be. Likely will be plastic cutlery. They're serving themselves family style. So everyone's reaching into the food with a group of strangers that you don't know. Instead of the food being plated for $200 a person, you're serving yourself family style.
I mean, that's a meet and greet. That's like an Ace Fest style meet and greet.
Yeah.
It's a meet and greet. It's not a dinner experience.
It's
That's
not
a real expensive meet and
$200.
greet, though.
I think it was 270 something at last check. Because it goes up every year because, you know, his celebrity status goes up. So they should have to pay more. And they will. 270 something.
And
Per
well,
person,
if people
not
know
for
this
the
is
whole
going on
party.
and are still buying it, how are they still buying? Like, how are they still buying this?
They love him. I'm sorry, Brie, you asked something.
$200 per person, not for the whole party.
No, it's per person. And it's not 200, it's like 270 something.
Oh, wait, the chat is saying no, it's 289 for the 2023 dates. Chat is wise. Chat is always wise. And there's over 10,000 people in chat, so chat is wise. We trust chat. Thanks, Noelle. I'm guessing I missed the pink sauce chat. We didn't really get into pink sauce.
It's the same thing.
I mean, you can't, there's stuff you can't send, but it sounds like the woman who did pink sauce at least was trying to be like, I tried to figure out what I could ship through the mail and not ship through the mail. And I was using powdered milk product instead of actual milk product, but it still seems
What
like,
is
look,
it?
man.
What was it though? Was it like mayo? Like what is it sweet? Is it savory? What was it?
It's like a dragon fruit mayo relish something that became popular on TikTok. I don't know. I'm old. Brie?
Yeah, and she really never told them what it was made out of because that was kind of the mystery.
It was
about
proprietary.
People would say it tastes like ranch, and then someone would say it's salty but sweet, and all at once. It was weird.
Well, ranch is kind of, if you close your eyes, ranch is a little sweet. It has a little
It
sweetness.
does a little bit.
So she
But
could
it
have just taken some ranch dressing and put some pink food coloring in it and called it a day.
But I mean, if it was that popular, couldn't you find a brand to work with to like do that though? Couldn't you just like work with a brand to do a limited collab of pink sauce? I mean, selling sauces are not what I'm going to just start doing. You don't mess with food.
No.
And you could, but they were doing it out of their kitchen. So they probably didn't have the context to the right people to help them do it. So you would think as a business person, especially, I think she was a chef. I don't know if the other guy is a chef too, but you should think about reaching out to someone that can do it with the preservatives that you need to be shipping it across country.
If you want to sell food, talk to a lawyer. Just talk to a lawyer in your area. Just talk to a lawyer and be like, I want to do this. Just talk to somebody. Because once somebody gets sick off of something, you're not going to have the right kind of insurance and you are screwed. Just talk to somebody.
I will never forget my high school economics teacher, Mr. Reynolds. A lot of anyone that knows me would know that my family is Jamaican. I lived in a very West Indian neighborhood in Queens. So like very, like a lot of people were from the Caribbean. And so my high school economics teacher, Mr. Reynolds, he was Jamaican. He had a very thick Jamaican accent. And he was awesome about macro and micro economics and all that type of stuff, right? But he said one thing in money that you never mess with is food. He started a kiosk in one of our local malls where he sold little nuts and dried fruits and things like that. He would buy them in bulk and then break them down and then sell them in the kiosk in the mall. He was making such good money. Say, I was almost going to quit this job, because, this job sucks, right? You guys are rude and disrespectful, right? He was so great. Reynolds runs Tings. Tings don't run Reynolds. That was his thing, right?
Oh my God, I love that so much.
He said the food industry ran him because somebody got sick off of some of his dried apricots. Now, he got them from like Costco or something like that, right? He didn't make the dried apricots, but he said the minute that happened, his business was done. Thankfully, I think he had some type of insurance, something like that. But he was like, I could not financially recover from that. You do not mess with food. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not the chef, if you don't have quality control over everything, you don't mess with food. It's a highly... Oh, and also, I think another thing that really bothers me about this is both my uncles are chefs, my Uncle Ralston and my Uncle Hugh. And so they are very, very steeped in the culinary industry. And I've seen the amount of training that they have to do, the precautions they have to take. And he does none of that. It's like, if you know anything about the food industry, selling pink sauce online and cakes through the mail,
without proper packaging. It's just not the way to go, man.
From my understanding, the TikTok pink sauce was getting wrapped, not even in bubble wrap, just putting in like a shipping envelope and just shipped in like an envelope. Like just that's my understanding, just shipped in an envelope. Which reminds me of the cake.
I have
Like, we're just gonna wrap it in plastic, stick it in a 5-day shipping box, and go with God, I guess.
Yeah, and for the pink sauce, they were saying that like the bottle was like expanding or exploding sometimes because whatever, it was dairy products in it, obviously, or not obviously, but there was dairy products in it. And when the bacteria, I guess something happens with the bacteria, which
because it gets hot.
The bottle
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
You
they were
cannot
getting it
ship dairy
exploded.
without it being refrigerated.
She said she was using
Well,
like
that's
non-dairy milk something, and people are like, no way, it's got milk in it. But she didn't properly, it's alleged that she did not properly label the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
of course
Mhm.
not. You
And
can't
she-
do
Yeah. She changed some of the ingredient measurements because they were angel numbers. That's what I heard on Phil DeFranco. So,
angel numbers.
yeah.
What is like? It's going to send you
Like
to God.
lucky
Angel
numbers?
numbers. What?
Like 222 and 444 and like numerology numbers. So change.
No.
Yes. The servings particularly were in angel numbers and not actually in how many servings were in it. Sarah
Like,
Wolf hit it right on the head.
numerology. You're talking about the pseudoscience of numerology. Is that where?
Yeah. On the ingredient part of the box. Abby B says it's not alleged. I saw the thing. It's a mess. Yeah, the back of the box, she did change the back, but I saw you can't eat at everybody's house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't eat.
I live by that.
It's true.
I live by that.
It's
Mhm.
true. And it's
'Cause I've
just
seen crock pots with cats in them on Instagram. I'm
look,
telling y'all.
shipping things is hard anyway. Shipping food is just
A nightmare. I would never use your local. You know what? There are cottage laws for right in your little local town. Go to your little farmer's market. Sell it at the
Yes.
farmer's market.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
No, because it's shipped. It's local. Everybody loves local and fresh. Do not stick the pink sauce in the mail
Yep.
and use angel numbers for the. It's like.
There's rules. It became a thing when they were like, is this FDA approved? And she's like, the FDA doesn't regulate this. And it's just she forgot that the F was for food. And,
what does she think the FDA regulates?
Probably just drugs, right? Like medicines and stuff. She's like, it's not, because the TikTok I saw was her being like, this isn't a medical thing. I'm not selling it as like a health thing. And if that's where you're at with the regulations, don't sell food over the internet.
Is she
Get a
young?
lawyer.
Is she young?
She seemed young.
Okay. There's no.
She seemed young to
Did
me.
you also Did you also see that she then had the FDA come to her house to make sure that everything was okay?
I did not see that, Brie. What?
As in, is she okay?
Yeah, there's like she said that the FDA did a house visit on her, but she didn't show the person, but they were talking and saying, hey, we're going to check everything out. And then when you change the label, then you can be up and running again. But everybody, of course, thinks it's fake because FDA is not going to do a house call and you're selling things that are not even cottage food out of your house. So, yeah, so she's allegedly stayed.
So she had somebody pretend to be an FDA agent. I don't think that's how it works.
She did want to use the cottage food laws. The chat's like, she did want to use the cottage food laws. Okay. Yes, but then shipping online state to state. We're now in interstate commerce.
Yeah.
We're going to have some health department issues. It's just.
Cottage food laws are like the bake sale, the farmer's market. That's what they're anticipating, setting up a little lemonade stand or something local. They don't anticipate. And there's like certain things. There are people that have manufactured sauces from social media, like barbecue sauce and stuff like that, like food creators. There was this lady that does a lot of eating and stuff, and she manufactured sauces. Guess what? She did it through a warehouse, a warehouse
Commercial
that was
kitchen.
monitored with the kitchen. They, she commissioned it, gave them the recipe, commissioned it out to them. She paid them, they made it, and someone else did the math. And guess what? It was still gross. It was not good. I tried it. It's nasty, right? So just leave the food to the food professionals. The food profession. It's food. You put it in your body. What are we doing here?
I mean, it's a terrible idea. And we get, you see creators getting into food. We've recently seen that David Dobrik is getting into pizza. We've got Mr. Beast in, Beast Burger and his whatever the freaking candy bars are called. I don't remember. Feastables, that's what they're called. But he's working with companies to do these things. And with Beast Burger, he's working with ghost kitchens. So he's working with your local kitchen anyway. Like he's working with restaurants.
So you mean to tell me that whoever, I don't know a lot of these creators, but whoever he is, he's not making it in his basement, right?
I don't know who these creators are. I love you so much. I love this so much.
I am so bad. Let me tell you something. I did not know who Jenna Marbles was until she was like, oh, this huge video popped up in my thing. It was like, I'm leaving YouTube. And I was like, who is this? Why does it have a million?
Why?
And then I went back and watched all of her old videos. And I was like, well, why is she going away? She's excellent.
It's delightful.
She is wonderful. And it was like, I was talking to people have you heard about Jenna Marbles? And they're like, what are you talking about? She's been around forever. Why are you talking there's this new girl on the scene. Her name is Jenna Marbles. She's lovely.
It's which is hard. I think the internet ran her off the internet, which is just so sad because she was such a genuine creator. But Mr. Beast is, and again, I tell creators, look, it doesn't matter how many subscribers you are. There's people who've never heard of you. It's a big platform. Mr. Beast just crossed over 100 million subscribers on YouTube.
Such an asshole.
You're not an asshole at all. You're amazing. And you prove my point. You're like, that's not my corner of the internet.
It's not.
And it's not my content either. I have kids and my youngest loves Mr. Beast because he makes that kind of content that's very appealing to a younger audience. He made his own Squid Game, which might be the only reason you would have heard of him. But he spent $3 million recreating Squid Game for a YouTube video.
Okay. Wow. Those are resources right there. That's FU money right there.
I mean, he makes millions a month.
Say his name again.
Mr. Beast. It's all right. He's got multiple channels. Mr. Beast's approach to YouTube is brilliant. He has kind of cracked the algorithm. He's a very smart creator. He has now started dubbing his videos into multiple languages. And Mr. Beast is I'm going to pay top dollar for everything. He's very charitable. He gives a lot of money away. He donates. He does food banks, and he's a very charitable creator. But he's I'm going to pay top dollar. So he will hire the most popular voice actors in a given country. And so then they're he'll see the comments and it's why does Mr. Beast sound like Spider-Man? Or why does Mr. Beast sound like whatever? And so he will find the most popular voice actor in whatever country and hire them to dub his videos. So now he has Mr. Beast in multiple languages. He's I think 23 or 24 years old and is running a whole ass empire.
Now that I know who he is, I will be very offended if in the immediate future he doesn't know who I am. So
I think so. I think that's fair.
Pro quo here,
I wonder how much YouTube Mr. Beast actually watches. Because he's always creating content.
He's always busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more you create, the less you watch. It's just really, really hard.
Yep. Candace Ortiz in the chat is saying, Mr. Beast cleaned up the ocean. Mom, he is awesome. Candace Ortiz, also tell your kiddo to go check out Octonation if your kid loves the ocean. But yeah, Mr. Beast and Mark Rober got together and did a huge thing for Open Seas. Very charitable creator. But watching him do, watching how he does YouTube is fascinating. And the chat's he has over 102 million subscribers. He just hit 100 million last week.
Yeah, last week.
I mean, the fact that there are
he gave away an island. He did. That's the second time he gave away an island, though. Come on, get some new tricks, Jimmy.
The fact that there are over 100 million sentient human beings in the world, and I am not one of them that is subscribed to his channel, is mind-boggling.
That's how big the platform is.
It's a huge platform. It's a
Yep.
huge. Yeah. So when I hit 100,000 subscribers, our friends were like, "Oh my God, you're famous!" And I was like, "I am not. I am a piece of sand, like a little speck of sand on a beach. Like that is how massive the YouTube platform is."
And honestly, don't want to be. Like, don't want to be.
I don't want that smoke. I don't want that smoke. And honestly, not everyone who is subscribed is engaged. So for me, it's about engagement more than anything else. I have subscribers where I see their name and I'm like, "Oh, hey, such and such. I know you. I've seen you since such and such, and like we have a conversation and we have like inside jokes and ongoing themes and things like that, things that were said months ago that we all still remember. And it's just so nice and cozy. And I love that. I love it so much.
This is, people are asking, what are the taxes of giving an island? This is a conversation we need to have another day, is like the law behind Mr. Beast, because he does so many different giveaways. I wonder if some of them border on lotteries. Like he did a whole bunch of stuff on the platform where he was like, "Hey, I will donate, this much money for every person who subscribes." And I'm like, right, but does that kind of vaguely violate the rules of the platform, because YouTube says you can't do things to bolster or falsely bolster engagement? And there are some little things that I'm like, but Mr. Beast is a good creator, so I don't want to call him out. But also, if you're giving someone like, I gave you a private island, I gave you $100,000, I gave you a chocolate factory, how are you running that giveaway? What are you paying in taxes? What's the legal behind it? How many lawyers are on the team? It's fascinating.
They must have changed the terms of service, because I remember OG YouTube, people used to do things like, you have to subscribe, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then you're entered to win this thing.
Yep.
Is that no longer allowed?
You can't, because there's a term in the terms of service about false engagement or fraudulently doing something with engagement that kind of falls under that. But now people will say you have to be subscribed to win when they do giveaways, but they have to have terms of use. Giveaways are such a strange area of law, because especially on the platform, when you're doing giveaways, there's so many different jurisdictions and rules.
Don't like them.
You can wander into running an illegal lottery real fast.
Yeah, don't like them at all. I mean, like, you're not running into contracts really, because there's a consideration issue. I don't know, but
there's a lot of regulation around it.
Yeah, I've never done a giveaway on my channel, even back in my beauty creator days, right? Where that was a thing. When you did beauty YouTube in the aughts, right? It was all about, because I think I started my channel in 2009, something like that. Like, and all I did was hair and beauty. And that channel ain't do nothing, child. But when I was doing that, everyone was doing giveaways, and I was like, "Dang, I can get in on this giveaway thing, but I ain't got no money to be giving nothing away." So
a lot of them were doing them wrong back in the day of YouTube. Because when I started YouTube in the tech space, and I wasn't doing a lot of giveaways, because even then I was like, "Ooh, there's a lot of regulations here that I don't know." I know enough to know that I don't want to touch that really. But I loved doing tech and unboxing and purses. Most of that stuff, it was all on this channel. Most of it is gone now. You're not going to find.
I should take down my old like hair stuff, because it's like, what the hell was I doing? But I
love you were having fun on YouTube. Why did you want to start YouTube? Because you started in the beauty and hair space.
Because I started dreadlocks, and so that's when I started my dreadlocks. Was in 2009. And I did not know how to do them, but it's a small, it's shrinking, but it was very, strong at the time, natural hair community that was a wave of Black women that were getting rid of their relaxers in the mid to late 2000s, 2007 and up, getting rid of their relaxers, going natural. And then there was a transition of people who had gone natural, who were growing dreadlocks. And so I went on there to learn how to do my own hair, because I don't like going to hair salons. And then I started learning how to do things. And then people would ask me, "Oh my God, that's such a cute hairstyle. How did you do it?" And so then I would upload how did I do my hairstyle? How did I do my makeup? How did I do my this and my that? Because I just knew I was going to be a beauty guru, baby. Like, I just knew it.
Oh, you're definitely the lawsuit beauty guru. You definitely by far. have the best
of being
makeup.
the worst of the makeup artist beauty gurus, but then I can be like the best of the lawyer beauty gurus.
Dude, girl, your looks serve. I don't know what you're talking. They're amazing.
Thank
amazing.
you.
But I love that you were like, I love this. This is a great way to express myself and to, share what I'm learning.
Oh yeah, and it had nothing to do with money.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually was one of the first YouTubers to get monetized, which is so funny. And then I lost monetization when they changed the way in which you monetize a channel.
Rude.
Yeah, I was like, excuse me, where's my $100?
That is rude.
I would reach the
Never
$100
mind, you
threshold by
don't deserve
101.
any money.
Where's my $101? What is going on here?
Yeah. Annually. I would reach my $100 threshold annually on YouTube.
Yeah,
We're getting
exactly.
a
Like
check
every
once
3
a
months.
year.
Yeah. And so let's see. I graduated law school in 2010. And so obviously from graduating law school until like a few years ago, that consumed my life. Bree is amazing. I could not do any.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that, Bree.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
So
You are doing great. But how did you end up starting? What drove you to start LawTube or YouTube in general, not just LawTube?
I started YouTube because I was starting my own business. So I was working for this law firm and they were paying me a little bit of money and I didn't like what I was doing either. So I decided I was going to drop out of working a year into being a lawyer and start my own law firm doing like trademarks and stuff. So I started my YouTube to do like business educational videos and things like that, just to kind of get out there more. So my earlier videos are education videos. They're not really live streaming. I tried to live stream, but it was like doing trademark reviews for people for free, and that just did not fly at all.
Yeah.
No.
You're like,
No
no.
free legal advice, baby.
Yeah, so that did not fly. I probably did like 2 of them, and it was like, no, it's like one person on here. And then I paused for a while, and then I started live streaming again. So covering some of the not pop culture, but like influencer scams. And I got a lot of traction with that as well. So I'm sorry.
Influencer scams are fascinating and abundant. Especially when you start looking at crypto stuff. You guys, we're gonna have to get to some questions. We haven't even gotten to questions yet. If you have a minute to hang, it's getting late for both of y'all. Oh my God, it's been 3.5 hours. We are going to speed run some questions.
I am gonna try to tough it out. Here I am.
We're gonna speed run for we're gonna do like a 15-minute speed run of questions, and then we're gonna go because it is getting late, and I know y'all have work in the morning. Chat is wise. Patrick Ames, is that a Twister reference? If so, my respect. We have cows. So yes,
yeah.
Twister is one of my favorite movies.
Does Bree not know it? Let's see. Does Bree know that movie? You
No,
make us
what
feel
movie?
old. Twister.
Twister.
I try
Bill
not to.
Paxton.
I've never seen the movie. I'm thinking of the game Twister when you guys are saying Twister.
At least you know the game Twister. We're there. We're there. We've spanned the age gap into, I am like an ex-millennial cusp. So I'm a zennial. Natalie, you are a loud and proud millennial.
I'm
right in there.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess you're like on the
Bree, you're a cusp on the other end of the millennial.
The Z millennial cusp. Is that you, Bree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a few years before that, but I'm right with end of millennial, starting in Gen Z.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Law and Lumber said, just chime in and to let y'all know I'm still here to support these 3 badass ladies. Thank you for letting me keep company in the shop. Also, Nat, please send me the Crooks details. I'd love to share. Law and Lumber's interested.
DM. I got your DM. I got you.
Oh, Natalie, what happened with Above the Law? This is a deep question. So can you give a quick summary and then a what happened with Above the Law?
Okay, so Above the Law plagiarized my Twitter thread. I made an article out of my Twitter thread. It seems like she wrote her article around the same time that I wrote mine. I released my article first. Her article came afterwards. So I don't think she actually did plagiarize my
article. I think she plagiarized my Twitter thread. I hired an attorney and we were all ready to go gung-ho. And then I had something happen in my personal life for which it is just far more important than Above the Law plagiarizing me. Above the Law response was to first release a statement in which they didn't do anything wrong, then to ghost me, then to come back to me again and say, after reviewing your Twitter thread, we did nothing wrong. And now I have just completely let it go. Not because, this is not because they weren't wrong. They are wrong. They are wrong. They completely plagiarized my Twitter thread. I literally have other things to deal with right now. And I cannot dedicate the mental or financial capital to fighting their little ragtag. They ain't got no money anyway. They trash. But anyway, go ahead. Yay, chicklets.
But what you said is a huge point of civil litigation is sometimes you have to decide if it's worth it.
It's not.
And sometimes it's like, I will fight you. And sometimes you're like, I'm never going to get what I want to get out of this. They're not going to say they're wrong. And how much money am I going to spend to have somebody else tell me that I'm right? You're
Exactly.
right.
I know that I'm right. And all that, I didn't want any money from them anyway. All I wanted was for them to apologize for what they did. I know what they did in my heart. It was a subscriber of mine that made a list of every single thing that I wrote that was word for word what she wrote. And, I'm still very, very disappointed in the woman that wrote the article because she's a fellow alumnus of Cardozo School of Law. And
She went to your law school?
Oh, yeah, she went to my law school. So, I just think it's very disgusting what they did, but I cannot maintain the same passion for it because I literally have to move on with my life and they are dedicated to being assholes, and that's fine.
Question, is this a dream come true? 3 badass women live streaming together? No, not a dream. We're here. It's going to start feeling like a dream. We've been streaming so long because we've been chatting.
It's fun. Had a great time.
I'm so glad you guys are here. We're going to keep going. Question, what would be the most important thing all of you would want the general public to keep in mind when watching or following any case, i.e. civil, criminal, business, family, etc.? I think Natalie said it really well at the beginning. If you want to circle back to that.
Presumption of innocence and to keep an open mind, and that until the case is decided by the fact finder, the case is not decided. You need to wait for all the evidence to come out.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to wait till the end.
I agree with that.
Even if you have a feeling about it, you can have a feeling about it.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean those are the facts as the fact finder finds them.
Yes.
Yep.
This is a fire legal team. Thank you, Carolyn. We are here. What a dream collab. Natalie's hilarious breakdown of deposition misconduct by attorney witness was my very first introduction into LawTube. Drop Barracuda. Thank you. The cookie itself has no flavor. Oh, that was back when we were talking about, we've got around to food a lot tonight.
Yeah.
And
food in the mail.
Food in the mail. Jelly Bellies go well through the mail, I will say, when we're talking, not the buttered popcorn ones.
They're made of plastic. They're not made of real food, and that's why they can last. They'll probably be here way after we're gone. They're wax.
Jelly beans are made of sugar, cornstarch. What else? I knew way too much about jelly beans.
Sugar.
When I worked there.
They're made of sugar. They're made of sugar
pretty much
with
sugar,
more
sugar.
But the worst flavor is not buttered popcorn. I actually know the worst flavor is black licorice.
No.
Attack me now, black licorice people.
Oh my God.
I'm a black licorice person.
Yes.
I love black licorice. I love it. I love it.
Black licorice tastes like hatred.
You did not.
It tastes like despair.
You're like, it tastes like the pits of hell. It's so good. I love black licorice. Especially a really soft black licorice, like the all sorts black licorice. Oh my God, it's so good. Both of you are like, no.
Coming out with black licorice ice cream and stuff like that. Remember that when that was a trend? You didn't see that? Like black licorice ice cream was happening. It tastes like hatred.
No, I need a it's got to have the right texture for black licorice, and I love it. Love.
Wow.
The chat's very divided. We need to put up a poll. Miguelina, will you just put up a poll on black licorice?
Yeah.
Love it, hate it.
No.
They're like, chat. No. The chat wants to know what you both think of candy corn.
I love it.
I like candy corn.
I do too.
Okay, so good. We got one. Like everybody agrees on one.
I like candy corn.
I like know how much it's hated, and it's like socially unacceptable to say that you love it. Like, oh, throw it right in the trash. No,
just give it to me. It's quite tasty.
Don't
It's
buy it just to
delightful.
throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it's delightful. I don't know what's wrong with people.
Yep.
And they make candy corn at the Jelly Belly factory.
I bet you
Really?
that's nasty though. They need to
Yeah.
stop.
I really like candy corn.
That's not funny, but that is funny. So I guess we know which one is his favorite son. Okay, anyone at Murdaugh? Uh-oh.
Talking about Murdaugh. Hope Law said had a pledge versus donate today as Twitter claims not to have restated its user numbers, but merely updated them. Fun stuff in the Musk versus Twitter case. Hogue is covering Musk versus Twitter. Twitter claims
outright
not to
sue
have
him?
restated its user numbers. Twitter sued Musk
For backing out? They
for
shouldn't have
pulling
done
it.
that.
Just say pulling out. They're suing him for pulling out. They wanted it all the way in.
I feel like he brought them great publicity and nobody really wanted him to take over. So what are they complaining about?
Yep.
And he's not even like my favorite guy or anything, but it's like, I'm really glad he didn't buy Twitter. So I don't know what y'all are suing him about. You dodged a bullet there.
I mean, they're gonna try to force performance. Let's get boss attorney Bree to 10K and Natalie lawyer chick to 107. Love this club. Let's just get Natalie to 110 too. Let's just,
Yeah.
10K.
we love nice round numbers. Let's just do it. The New York Times did a great article on him. I'm pretty sure he started his church like 5 weeks after getting out of prison for identity theft.
Yeah, for which he served 5 years in Sing Sing for identity theft.
5 years for identity
Back at
theft
it.
is
In upstate prison. Like they didn't give him like 18 months in Rikers. They gave him 5 years in Sing Sing.
that's a lot.
That's major.
Yeah. I can't imagine that was just one identity. I think he hired someone to kill the son for money, and then the wife threatened to expose him, so he killed her. Explains the different guns. I don't know. I don't know if the murder for hire dude, who's also alleged to be involved in narcotic activity, was there. I don't know.
From what I
it's
heard, he
weird.
was a former client of Murdaugh's as well. That's what I heard.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's a mess. I just graduated from Cardozo. Well, Sarah, congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. Yay. Fellow
Yay.
alumni.
My parents ran out of Coke midway through a party once, and all they had was grape Kool-Aid. What became
I was
known
taking that
as
the
Purple
wrong
Jesus was born. Oh dear.
I mean, I don't
not
hate
taking that.
Kool-Aid,
I don't hate Kool-Aid either.
but I don't like Kool-Aid sangria idea.
I served out of a plastic bin.
With people
For
dipping their
almost
hands
1
in it? No.
I've got
No.
screenshots in my videos of people literally digging, like you can see the juice dripping off their hands.
Oh no. That's so gross. Food incubators have food scientists, R&Ds that help with manufacturing business plans, labeling, and formulas where you go into their safe kitchen. I mean, safe kitchen is a big part of all of this.
Yeah.
Found Emily through Natalie's channel. So good to see you cross over. Made my entire week. Well, Deli, thank you for coming over.
Usually it's the other way around. That's cool.
I mean, I love that. The bishop went to prison for fraud-like crimes. The judge tore him a new one at sentencing.
As
Yeah.
deserved.
Out of the box question for all. Platforms carry a lot of weight. Any chance of leveraging and getting involved in something similar to the Freedom Project?
What's the Freedom Project?
Yeah.
We will look.
You keep going. I'll just look it up.
We will look. Drop Barracuda said, didn't season 1 of Better Call Saul cover some of this? I don't remember. I remember Housewives much better than Better Call Saul. Have you watched the Fitz News interview with the sex worker who was employed by and serviced Alex Murdaugh? Cops and Madame were in cahoots. No, I haven't. No. The chat's bringing the tea tonight. I haven't seen any of that. I think Fitz News does great work, so I will absolutely take a look. There's been a lot of sex rumors lately, especially the stuff with House and Habit and Amber Heard and sex parties with Elon Musk. There's been Natalie's like, I've been working. Yeah. The internet exploded over the weekend.
I haven't heard any of this. Okay.
I haven't heard that about Fitz News. I will go look. The chat's like, this is infuriating. Yeah, fuckery is crazy. 87,000 new IRS employees, half will work on this case. Yeah, they should be assigned to Girardi immediately. That's a
Yeah,
lot
no,
of
that
new IRS
Girardi case
employees.
was actually starting to upset me as you guys were explaining to me, because I'm like, how is this happening? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps going and going and going and
Mhm.
going. And if the bar, you're like, but for the bar not stepping in, how many clients would have been spared if the bar had
Yeah.
just stepped in? And that's
Yeah.
what frustrates me so much. It's just, and the bar's run by the Supreme Court of California. Like, who's going to step in and sue that government entity if they even can?
They're kind of above reproach if they're run by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hard. They're the oversights by the Supreme Court. I have not seen a way where the bar can be sued by people who are like, if you had disciplined him back then
This
we
would not
wouldn't have been
happened to
harmed.
me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's coming one day.
Tell them the AB and the Balenciaga on the cross cartoon. I will send them about the Balenciaga cartoon that it's too deep. It's too deep state with Erika Girardi, the Balenciaga cartoon, but I will send it to them in Twitter DMs. My cousin is the Crave CEO. Chat.
Wow.
T. Everyone here in Utah knows Crumble ripped off another place called Chip. Could this week in their case, Crumble is C tier. Also, Crumble CEO went to my college and he sucks. Well, there's not a lot of Crumble love in the chat today.
Tell them how you really feel, Lizzie.
But Crumble ripping off somebody else's idea isn't going to do it if that person didn't sue.
Lizzie says on site with Crumble, your cookies suck, your CEO sucks. I know your competitor, and you ripped off Chip. You ain't shit. How about that, Crumble? Come to Death Row Records. That's what she just said. Read Crumble for filth. God damn. Crumble, that wasn't me. That was Lizzie. Lizzie wants all the smoke for you, Crumble.
Coming for you. They're like, you could be
you
TikTok
added the
famous. That's
animation.
it. Yes, you did. Oh my goodness, we have recommendations for movies. Mississippi Burning, quote unquote. Now Imagine Her White, chilling about 1950s Jim Crow laws. There are lots of good law movies. I stand with Natalie that My Cousin Vinny is
the best.
The best.
It's the best.
I love Legally Blonde because it's like an inspirational underdog story that's really fun. But for law movies, My Cousin Vinny is the best. So we had to watch My Cousin Vinny for a legal ethics class I took and write a paper about all the ethics violations. It was wonderful. That's a great professor. I hope somebody takes a page out of that. Lynn P, I'm sure the chat answered who Elle Woods is. I hope lawyers take a page out of that or professors take a page out of that and bring up parts of the Depp Heard trial for courses. Because seeing it in action, even Brie, what you said, like, look, I saw some of this in action for the first time and it helped.
Yeah.
So, Natalie froze. Brie, what? I'm the actual F. My Cousin Vinny, you no longer have weekend plans. Your weekend doesn't belong to you until you watch that movie, period.
Oh yeah, no, we must catch you up to speed. Absolutely.
Yes, and then you'll have to, make content for it. Just it's content now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. Emily, you created a couple of monsters with that soundboard, Robert Ian. I'm still working out this soundboard. It works differently than my old one, but I'm trying. Thanks for the soundboard demo last week.
It may or may not have resulted in Runkle and I both going ADHD deep dive and practicing with our own stream deck shenanigans all around.
You're welcome.
That's too good.
And that, we might not have gotten to all of the super chats, but I don't want to keep our guests too long because it's always a long stream. It is a late night. Everybody's got work in the morning except for moi. I have to record the podcast that didn't get recorded this week in the morning because I've been sick all week. So that's where I'm at.
Better. I hope you're feeling better.
This stomach flu has been no joke. It's my kid's first week of school.
Yeah. Someone said it was her birthday. I think it was your last super chat. She said she was having a hard time. So happy birthday, sweetie.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So with that, you guys, let the chat, I'm going to pull a few of these up on screen. Natalie, why don't you go first? Let the chat know where to find you, what your channel is, and anything else you would like to share with them as we start to wrap up.
Okay, well, I'm Natalie. This is my channel is Natalie Lawyer Chick. I am a criminal defense attorney, literally practicing criminal law right now. I have motions hearings in the morning. Tomorrow evening, 7 EST, I am going to be featuring the young lady who was not really sued, but had a protective order filed against her by Darius Cooks in retaliation for her speaking out against him and trying to have him served. And she won and was victorious in her case. And I'm going to be interviewing her tomorrow because that is my pet project. And we'll be covering a whole bunch of other fun things. In the meantime, love you guys. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you so much. I'm going to answer this real quick. Do attorneys take psych classes? It depends on your undergrad degree. Law school doesn't cover it so much. And then it depends where you go into practice, because I know, at least for the DA's office, there is a lot of training that goes into being a DA and a lot of continuing education.
Yeah, I got my bachelor's in psych for that very reason, because I thought that it would help me in my law degree.
Very, very good idea. Bree, do you want to let everyone know where to find you, what you're working on, what's coming up next, how to subscribe, all the things?
Yes, of course. Like I said earlier, I'm Attorney Bree here on YouTube and pretty much on all the other socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I cover trademark lawsuits, copyright lawsuits, and other celebrity lawsuits on my channel. So if you guys are interested in anything like that, come and check out my channel. I am on my way to 10,000 subs, and I had so much fun here live streaming with Natalie and Emily. Like I said, I look up to them, so I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to hear what you think of My Cousin Vinny, and I hope you make it into content because I hope you make it into content. The chat, have you checked your channel, Bree? The chat's saying you're at 9K.
Oh, am I at 9K? I've been struggling for the last month, so thank you very much for 9K.
You should absolutely check where you're at too, Natalie. I know you. Yay, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so welcoming to my guest. It's great to see the Chicklets. Bree, what is your community called? Remind me. Is it the Bree Hive?
Yep, we are the Bree Hive, not
Perfect.
the Bee Hive. We're the Bree Hive.
The Bree Hive. Law nerds, thank you for being so welcoming. Be sure to check out the amazing content by these two amazing lawyers and amazing content creators. It is so much fun to have people on the channel and just get to chat about cases I haven't kept up with, that they haven't kept up with. I'm going to say goodnight to them. We're going to roll the outro and then we will be done. But ladies, if you want to hang around, I'll be able to talk to you right after the outro rolls and say goodnight. So to law nerds, to Chicklets, to Bree Hive, good night, everybody. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.